Yeah! What's up, everybody? Anybody out there? Sorry for the delay. I had a couple of technical difficulties. But here we are. Here we are. Yeah, I broke the internet. What's up, everybody? My name is Francisco. I'm the host of this here little show called Jamming Out All Badass. Uh, First of all, the cool little logo thing. Before I get going, I want to take a chance to thank Rosalinda Verduzco for making that cool little flyer there for me. So if you're listening, or maybe you'll watch it later, I appreciate it. Thank you again very much. That was really cool. So yeah, yeah. And when I put that up, it blocks me out, so that's even better, right? So uh, anyhow, here we are, episode 14. 14 freaking episodes into it already. Who knew? Uh, did I get this going? How's everybody doing out there? I got my where's it at? Got my V8 drink. What's everybody got out there? Anybody got a V8 drink like me? Probably not, right? I'm the only one. But I need it. Um, but yeah, like I said, episode 14. Really psyched about this one. Pretty much all of them. Everybody that asked on here is somebody I want to talk to. Somebody who's stuff I enjoy. Uh, so we'll uh, we'll have a good time. Again, I said thanks to Rosalinda for that flyer. Thanks to all you for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, appreciate it. Check out all the other shows. Like I said, I have 14 like interview episodes, but there's also a little just chats with buddies and about certain bands. And I think there's one on the Scorpions, Bush Light, of course, Tom, The Accused, some grindcore stuff. Um, so yeah, check it out. If you're back again for the second time or third time, man, you're appreciated. You kick ass. Again, like it says on the little ticker on the bottom, if you want to support the show, you can, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Tell everybody about it. Uh, been busting my ass trying to get interesting people on here. Uh, people you don't really see too many places. So, um, you know, you're not gonna find what's his name, Scott Ian from Anthrax on here. He's everywhere. So, uh, yeah. So again, badass. Thank y'all for tuning in. This is Jamming Out All Badass. Um, Next week, I may take a break from doing interviews next week, get everybody a chance to catch up. I know I've been kind of pumping them out a lot, so probably won't do any next week. But I do have, yeah, Scotty and Rosenfeld. I do have some other not interview type shows planned with my buddies Dave and Ray and Ralph. If anybody's checked that grindcore one out, check it out. Had a blast doing that. May become a regular thing with those three guys. And then Sick, Frank and 10th Degree. Yeah, everybody go back and watch all the other ones, man. They're everybody's been really cool on here. Haven't like finished one and be like, oh man, that sucked. Because anybody knows me, like, I'll tell you if that's the case. Uh, so anyhow, so today, I guess today was born, according to Wikipedia, was born in Chicago, ended up in Arizona, where she formed the band Nuclear Death, which I am wearing a Nuclear Death shirt today. Back in good old 1986. A true pioneer, not only for women, but for anybody into extreme music. I mean, if you listen to that demo, I revisited it today, the 86 demo. I mean, that's some extreme shit for 1986. Real fast, real angry, real chaotic. I mean, you know, really kind of ahead of their time. A band that really was never, they're one of a kind. Nobody was ever able to even come close to do anything they did. So that's definitely a testament to them and what they what they were able to do in the time they were nuclear death. So, I'd like to welcome live from New Orleans, New Orleans.
Woo!
Miss Lori
Nola!
Bravo.
Nola living, yo. Nola living, y'all.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
Yeah, I'm used to saying "use" because, like, my dad, my mom from Chicago, and they'd say "use guys," but see, now I'm y'all. Like, I'm learning that. I'm learning the lingo now because everybody here says y'all, no matter what the fuck you say, y'all. And then you just start doing it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, so, y'all's been kind of the word y'all is kind of migrated all over the
it
country
has.
now. I've noticed.
Yeah.
It was
and
before
Lord Fauntleroy, don't forget, because apparently he's decided he's going to be part of this. So yeah, all right.
Okay.
He's my husband, so that's good. But anyway, yeah.
So how are things in New Orleans right now?
Well, they're fucking great. I mean, we just moved here. I've only been here for, every time it's the first, it's another month. So I've been here two months and like a couple days, and that's it. So don't be turning on the screensaver, bro. But anyway, so yeah, I visited my brother a year ago. He had just got divorced, and he had moved into his own apartment, and I went ahead and I finally got to come visit him. And we didn't do like the tourist thing really. I mean, we went to Bourbon Street. I kind of just lived with him for 5 days, and I realized that I needed to be here, and that this would ignite, catapult my career very quickly. And I was just working on my new album, so I just thought, okay, I hadn't started yet, but there were things in place, and I was like, I think I need to be here. And I mean, when I walked off the plane, I hadn't even seen him yet, and I hadn't seen him in 10 or 11, 12 years. And I walked off the plane, I just felt like I was home for the first time, because I've always been looking for a house or home ever since my parents moved us when I was a kid from Washington State. I've never felt comfortable anywhere I've ever lived. Arizona, Los Angeles, Tennessee, no matter where I've been or traveled, I've never felt like home. But when I walked off that plane, I felt home. I thought, I feel like I'm supposed to live here. And I've always said, oh, I'd never live in the South. It's too humid, whatever. But yeah, New Orleans is one of the best cities in the world. I'm so glad I'm here. I absolutely have been welcomed with open arms here. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's what I think. I'm like 4.5, 5 hours away from there. So I know the climate.
Yeah.
You have the same exact climate as I do here. So.
Yes, you do. And we went through you when my brother moved us with my 5 cats in the minivan just recently. So yeah, we went through Houston. Yeah, it was just exactly the same climate, basically. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess you actually made my segue perfect. You mentioned working on new stuff, which was the first thing I was going to ask you about. What current type of musical projects you have going on?
Well, this took a long time. It's a long time coming for this, but my new album, it'll be my second full solo album. I have 2 before. I have Marry the Devil, and then I have the EP, the When the Sun Dies, and then that's it. And then my life went into a downward spiral of a lot of bad relationships, not like romantic ones, but with people, and of course drugs. So there was a lot of, I always wrote, but I never went back, and I just had to live, I guess, a while to get the material that's on this record. But this record, my favorite record of nuclear death, my masterpiece, or if I want to say my Sgt. Pepper's, or my Pet Sounds, or my Kind of Blue, or my Dark Side of the Moon, is the Planet Coxexial. And I've always wanted to match it. And it's I'm most proud of, because Steve and I we went crazy on that record, and we just did something that no one's ever done. And this is that kind of record. It's not that no one's ever done the kind of acoustic music, but it's acoustic, and it's a one-woman thing. I did every single thing from the very first note and first word played all the way to the mastering. Everything I did myself, and I've never done that before. And I really wanted to challenge myself to see. There's not a lot of female engineers, and I'm not going to say I'm an engineer, but it's like there's not a lot of people working in that field, and it's like I wanted to prove that I could do it, and that I learned from watching the guys do it, and just learning from using computers and whatever. But yeah, with this album, it's called Bare Bones, and who knew that I was actually? It's really weird, because originally I thought the cover always was the cover that it is, but I'm really glad that I thought I was going to have to sort of like lose some weight for the cover to get the look that I wanted. But then I was struck with silent reflux, which made me go on a liquid diet for 8 months. So I lost 60 pounds in 8 months. So, I mean, I needed to lose some weight anyway, but I lost more weight than ever. And so that was perfect because Bare Bones, when I shot the cover, which was right before we moved in February, it was like perfect because I thought, well, I don't even need to pretend or add or any kind of airbrushing or anything because it's there. It's like I am completely, you know, you're just seeing my body. It's complete. I'm nude in it. I wanted to do that. I wanted people to see it's me stripped down. It's me back when I was a nine-year-old playing guitar in my room and singing, because that's what I wanted to go back to. My mom's always said I really should do a record where you just play and sing like you did when you were a kid. Well, here it is. So, you know, and she's actually instrumental in me making the record because she got to see what it's like for a person to make a record and to have to do everything and go up the stairs in my studio and come down pissed off because some didn't work. And this, I have to do this. And this, I have to go to a forum and get some drivers and this and that. And all this other bullshit that I don't like doing. I really don't like to do the production. I just like to be the artist. But I'm glad I did it because I did it. So, but yeah, I'm releasing it. It was supposed to be released a couple months ago and then we moved. We finally got the house and it was like, okay, I'm not going to overshadow that with the house move. And I know I'm going to document everything. So I waited and I thought, well, I'll put it out the week of my birthday. My birthday is next Sunday. So I was like, all right, I'm going to be 55. I probably am not going to put it out on my birthday. I think I'm going to do it because I'll be not around. But I mean, for the week of next week, at some point, I'm going to put it out. And I wanted to do something similar to this. Like I want to do my own like live stream. And then, you know, I don't have like the capabilities to be able to play music like you or like Jade does where you can hear. I mean, I'd have to play it like, you know, here's my speaker or whatever, but I want to do something like that because I want to make, it's a big deal. Like this is a really big album for me. It took me years to make. And one of the songs is 10 years old. It's like, I found it by accident on Facebook Memory. And I was like, what's this? And I was like, oh, I remember writing this. And I thought, oh, I think it's still valid. I think I should go ahead and put it on the new record. And I did. So some of them are newer. Some of them were written in the studio or finished in my studio. I didn't know what I was going to do, so I just did it on the spot. So,
right. Well, going back to doing the live stream stuff, trust me, if I can figure this out, anybody can figure this out. It's not that difficult to do.
Well, I guess
it's still a work in progress for me, you know.
Yeah, well, my main thing isn't this part. I guess my main thing is I'd want people to be able to hear the music. Like if I'm going to play tracks, which I want to do. Yeah. Actually, I want to play the whole thing, really. Yeah, I wanted to do that. Like, that's how I want to do it. You know, that way people can, you know, I can just stay on, get a bourbon, stay on, and just do my thing and whatever. And that's hear it.
It's kind of like a listening party.
Exactly. It's exactly what it is. Honestly, I'm not going to be really talking. Well, I guess I could talk about it, but I kind of want people just to hear it and get their own, form their own opinion, because right now I'm only going to be releasing it on Bandcamp. There's things that possibly could become things where, you know, I do want to actually put it out on CD, of course, but right now it's going to be released exclusively on Bandcamp because that's all the platform I have to release it on. So it's like, and I kind of didn't want to do it on Spotify because I'm afraid that people they won't buy it. So they won't want to buy it. They'll just listen to it. Because I mean, when I don't have any money, that's what I do. I just listen to it and I'm like, whatever, you know, and then if I want to buy it, if I like it enough, I'll buy something, but I'm just saying you can listen to it on Spotify. So maybe release a couple songs on there, but not if you want the whole thing, you know, because it's funny. It clocks in at like almost 90 minutes, which I didn't expect, but I don't care. It was like, it's, the songs had to be on there. Like nothing's on there like, oh, well, I'll just put that on there. I mean, everything's very, very cultivated, what I put on it. And I actually never changed I didn't change the order. I actually, you're going to listen to it, the order I recorded it. It just worked that way. I thought, I don't need to move them. I think they should be where they are and to begin this song and end at this song. So.
Yeah. Well, got a few people checking in.
Yay, I wish I could see him. Oh, there, I see him.
Yeah, your kitty's getting some love already.
Yeah, the kitty, cardiac arrest. Yeah, believe me, he gives me a cardiac arrest. So, yeah.
And then your old buddy Mark Sawickas.
Oh, hey Mark, what's that? What up, bro?
We'll be talking about about your shows with them here later on.
And
So
in Puerto Rico.
yes, ma'am, that's the one. All right,
Yeah.
so let's oh, you got anything else you want to add on your current projects before
Well, like I said, it's called Bare Bones, and I did everything myself, which, like I said, every single thing. But the other thing about it is there was a lot of, last year we had 5 deaths in our family. And so that really, they were my cats, but those are my children. And one of them was our family dog, which killed my mom and me. And they all died within just a couple weeks to months of each other. It was like everybody died of something horrible. It wasn't like old age. It was like kidney disease, a tumor in their mouth, whatever, some horrible shit. It was awful. So that happened along with me. I actually was singing at one of the funerals of our cat Roma. He's Italian. He's from Florence. And so I sang the Ave Maria for him because I used to sing that for in church Christmas service. I would come and sing the Ave Maria in Latin for everybody. Yeah, I actually loved it. It's great. I learned it in Latin and I sang it. So anyway, I sang it for him, and it was a really dry day. It was right after my birthday. It was really dry outside, and I went inside to eat something, and when I had some soy nuts, they actually got caught in my throat and I almost died. And then after that happened, that's when my throat started feeling that there was something like stuck, like a weird, like a feeling of like a lump. And then I went into the doctor, I went to the ER, the doctor, whatever. And then that's when I found out I had this thing called silent reflux, where the acids come up your throat for like 25 years and you have no idea because it's called silent reflux for a reason. Yeah. And so that's what happened. So this album, honestly, there was nothing fun about making this album, but I'm so glad it's made. Like it wasn't like, oh, I'm having so much fun in the studio. It's like everything was a fucking nightmare to do. Every fucking thing I had to do. So it's really, you can hear it in there. You can hear all of that in there. But yes, I can't wait to bring it to everybody because I'm really proud of it. I think it's the best music I've ever written. And that's saying a lot because I've been writing music. I'm 55 next Sunday, and I've been writing music since I was like about 6 years old. Professionally, I've been writing since I was about 18. So yeah, I really feel it's that good, honestly, even though I'm not trying to blow my own horn. I'm just saying I really feel like I'm at the height of my powers. So Bare Bones coming next week. Lori Bravo.
Yeah. Do you have can people follow you? I don't know if you have a website. I was kind of looking for one, or just like on Instagram.
I'm on everything. I don't have an actual website. I'm on all social media.
Okay.
And you can easily find me everywhere, obviously, anyway, because of, yeah.
I'll put all your links to your social media sites. Like
I'm very accessible, and if you put my name in Google, I come up. What does that tell you? So I didn't know that. Somebody told me. I didn't Google myself until somebody said you ought to Google yourself. Why the fuck would I do that? And then I did it. Said, oh shit, like the Wikipedia. I don't know who the fuck made that either. I have no idea.
Yeah, anybody could just go on there.
Exactly. I didn't, but they're actually accurate. I did. There were a couple things I needed to let whoever know, and I did, and they put them in there. So that's cool. I'm good.
Yeah. If I Google my name, I'm probably like 28th down the line. I'm not first like you. So
I just thought it was funny. I was like, what the fuck?
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, when I was like prepared for this, I Googled you, obviously. So yeah, you were the first one to come up.
That's what happens.
Awesome. So let's go back. Growing up, your earliest memories of listening to music or hearing music around your house, and what kind of stuff was playing around your house. If you want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So my parents, my dad used to play trumpet. He was a jazz guy, and he's 17 years older than my mother. It was both of their first marriages. And so that's kind of cool. And so he was Mr. Classic Jazz, and my mom was into the Beatles and Elvis Presley because that's her age group. And so not only did I have stuff like that going on, like classic jazz, like Miles Davis, who's my favorite, by the way. I'm sure everyone knows that. But anyway, Miles Davis is my favorite musician ever, probably as far as like all around musician. Jimi Hendrix, guitar, Janis Joplin, vocals, those would be my people. But we lived in Germany. We lived in Heidelberg. My dad was stationed there, and when I was like 2 or 3 or something. And so they had a German, like their station there was like the army station. So sometimes they didn't play like popular music. So you would hear things like traditional German music, and you'd hear things like classical or whatever, other stuff that wasn't what like there was an era where my parents missed music because they were there. So I heard stuff like that too. And I mean, I didn't know I was born with a gift of vocals or a good ear, but I was. And so it just all filtered in. So when we got back to Chicago, then I heard popular radio stations, and then I would sing to them, you know, and it's like, you had this Pioneer stereo that had a microphone that you plug it in and sing. And I was doing that when I was like 4 years old already, whether it didn't matter because at that time it would be late 60s, early 70s. So whatever's on the radio, I'm singing it. And it's like, there was no discernment at all. Like, I'll sing anything. And then my grandfather was into show tunes like Oklahoma and Camelot and My Fair Lady. And so he turned me on to all musicals. And so again, that, and then just like I told Jade, I found there was this Halloween record my parents bought me. It's Disney Halloween record. And it's like, that just totally, that was it. Like, it's just sound effects and stuff, but it came out in the 60s, I think in 1964, maybe, I don't know. But when I had it, I was a little kid, there it is. Yep. See, and that thing that was it. That's what really, I think that's when my dark side opened up. And I mean, I was like 4 years old or 5 years old. But when that came, when I had that, I would play it over and over and over. And it was like, I was just so like intrigued. And then I realized that you could buy things called soundtracks, because my parents would go see a movie and they'd like the soundtrack and then they'd go buy it. And they were pretty hip. They liked really cool shit, like good, you know, really interesting, you know, my dad likes horror and sci-fi and, you know, and stuff. So they would go see the popular movies at the time, but also things that were like that. So soundtracks would come in, like, you know, and you know, like the Alien soundtrack from the original Aliens, like that's a really big influence on the early nuclear death music anyway. But I'm just saying things like that, where I realized that there was more to it than just songs on the radio. So all of this, there were just tons of, you know, the radio was always on. So it was like, I mean, and if it wasn't, then they were playing records. And then the way that the Pioneer, that stereo was, it had the record changer where you could put like 16 fucking records, you know, to king. And so it would go all day long. So when my dad was at work, you know, he's in the army, he's at work, my mom's at home and I'm there, and my brother hadn't been born yet. But even after he was born, it's like music is always, like, they were never daytime. There was not a daytime TV thing. My mom used to watch some soap operas, but really music was on. So I just heard everything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was.
Yeah, I'm being told there's an echo. I don't know if it's me or what. I can kind of hear
you sound, I don't know. You sound not echoey, but.
Okay. It's like, I can barely hear it.
I can kind of hear a weird sound, but it sounds a little bit of like almost a flange effect, but
yeah,
it's not really bothering me because half of these things do this. So whatever. I mean,
well, this is the first time I've had this issue, so I need to figure it out. But we'll move on. I don't think it's not much of an issue. I don't think.
No.
Where was that? Oh, I lost track. Here we go. All right. So, what made you want to play? Like, when did you first decide you wanted to start playing music? I know you said you were real young when you just for something, you just decided you wanted to just start doing your own music.
Well, I think, first of all, because I was a singer anyway, I already knew I was a singer. Like, I didn't want to be one, I was one. I just didn't know what to do about it. And my folks are not momager, dadager people that get your kids, like, you know, at 3 years old into, like, you know, drama and all this stuff, where they take their kids and put them into toddlers and tears. Like, they were those kind of people. So I had to be left to my own devices. In other words, I'm glad, but I'm just saying they could have easily. My mom got me into ballet. She took me to ballet, and ballet actually really helped me retain my flexibility to this day. And also, I didn't dance it that long, but also the discipline, which actually I needed for the kind of work that I do, is to be very disciplined, and so that kind of helped. But it was kind of like, you know, for me, it was just sort of like, I knew I wanted to be like a singer on TV, because they had all these variety shows when I was growing up, like the Donnie and Marie show and Sonny and Cher. And I watched all of those. I loved Hee Haw. I liked the Grand Ole Opry. It did not matter. So when I watched all these people, Dolly Parton, so it's like I watched all these people and I wanted to be them. I just wasn't sure how to be them, but I thought someday I'm going to be singing. and blah, blah, blah. And like I said, I'm a kid yet. I have not learned that I'm a musician as well yet. So I didn't know. So I just thought I was going to be a singer. That was the original plan anyways. I thought I was going to be a singer. So, but I mean, I was like 4 years old, already, I'd go back and we'd watch like Sonny and Cher, and then I would reproduce what I just saw for my parents, and whatever. Yeah. And when we moved to Arizona, I was just 6 years old, and my brother had just been born. He's 4 years younger than I am. And we moved to Arizona, and my grandparents lived there. That's one of the reasons we moved there, is because they were like, oh, it's so great here, and blah, blah, blah. And so we moved there to be closer to them and whatever. And so it was sort of like, for me, I don't know, the whole time, all I could think about was, I want to be a singer. Like, there was all this stuff called school and all this other stuff that had to happen, but I didn't care, because I thought, well, I'm a singer, so whatever. Like, it wasn't like I wasn't going to be good, it's whatever, just even then, like, I was already working towards this idea of that I've got to be a singer. I just didn't know at the time. I didn't know what kind of singing I was going to do, or what kind of singer that I was going to be, because my voice used to be first soprano. And then when I turned 14, my voice dropped like a boy. It's very weird. It's like somehow, I don't know if I have male masculine genes in me or what, but it dropped many octaves. I mean, I'm an alto tenor, so, and I can sing high falsetto like a guy, but I'm not. It's just weird. I was like, what? So when that happened, it was actually during school when I was in a choral group, and they actually had to move me because they had me up in the sopranos, and then I couldn't do it. And my voice was all hoarse, and I went to the doctor, and it was probably silent reflux. I don't know. But anyway, my voice changed, and thank goodness it did, because I like the depth I like how deep my voice is. And I actually am glad that I'm an alto. I think it's there's not many of those out there. I mean, I grew up with Anne Murray. She's one. Helen Reddy is another. There's some jazz vocalists. Carmen McRae's one. Abby Lincoln is one. But usually, of course, Fiona Apple. I mean, there's not a lot of singers that have an alto voice. And I actually think it's super fucking sexy. Oh, Rita Coolidge too. So I thought, all right, and of course, Cher. So I thought, well, you know what? That sounds cool. Because I was kind of like almost like freaked out when I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be singing high. Because like I said, I can sing high. I can sing really high actually, but I don't do that naturally. Or in other words, I'm not going to do that usually. You'll hear it on the record. So whatever, you'll see all the vote. I mean, I'm not called the woman of 1,000 voices for nothing. And I don't know who coined that. I could have coined it. Who knows? But I love it because it's true.
I did it. It was me. All right. Speaking of vocalists, talk to us about the influence this young lady had on you.
Yeah. Okay. So I got into her in high school. A friend of mine, he was way into punk, and he introduced me to punk. That was the first thing. I was like listening to a lot of like, a classic rock, and like, I was way into Van Halen. I was way into Ozzy Osbourne with Randy Rhoads, because he was still alive at the time. I mean, I was around when he died, and whatever, and Rush and all that shit. And then, which is great. But then he was like, have you ever heard, punk? I'm like, no, not really. I didn't have any way to really know. And so he started bringing these records over, and he brought over Sex Pistols, of course, and he brought over Discharge, Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing. And he also brought over Plasmatics. And I was just like, I was just gone, man. I mean, she's a Taurus also. And I just completely connected to her. And what I liked about it is there's this magazine called Rock Scene that I used to get. It's black. They were black and white photos, but they really covered a lot of the New York scene there. And so she comes out of there, and you've got like, it covered early Kiss, like the early Kiss and stuff like that. So, and Studio 54, they were like mixed it all up. It wasn't just rock, because then they'd show all these motherfuckers from what I just said, like Kiss and all these people, and they're going to Studio 54 and they're getting high. Yeah. And I don't think Kiss ever did drugs though, but not the two guys, not Paul and Gene, but I'm just saying, mostly you see everybody at these, and then you see her. And she was talking about, I liked her because she was a feminist, and I didn't know what that meant. I had no idea what it was to be a woman, or that I could be oppressed at all. I mean, my mom sort of ran the house, so I didn't feel, my dad had the final say, but he wasn't like overbearing. I guess it was my mom was the scary one, and still is. So I just kind of, when I just took to her the way she was, I loved everything about her, that the way they cultivated their look, and the fact that she was just so fearless. I mean, the fearlessness of the fact that she would even wear, if you go to England, a mohawk was whatever, but we're not in England. We're in America. Yeah. And that was just a big thing. And, the the breasts with the tape. I mean, God, and of course she's a banging body, and I was the fat kid. So I was like wanting her body too. I was like, and she was into health. That was the other thing. She never did drugs. She was into health before health was cool, before wheatgrass became, on the shelves of Walmart. She was doing weightlifting. She got me into weightlifting actually, because I was like, but she was such a badass. And I love Richie Stotts. I think he's a great guitar player. And I mean, my God, I just thought they were so cool. And their music, like, the Damned, and just like these songs, just like they were really, really fucking good. And that's the thing. They were really great songwriters. So I just thought, okay, I don't know who's writing it or whatever. Cause sometimes records back then didn't tell you all this shit. But I just, and then of course when videos were starting to come out more and you could see it. And of course there's the one where, she has her solo, Wendy Williams. Wow. And she drives the bus off the cliff. And I mean, you can't, she's got her whipped cream. Yeah. I had the poster where she's in her leopard print cat suit. She's got her ponytail and she's licking her gun and she's got the tape on her tits. And it's great. It's such a great image. I mean,
she is the epitome of a total badass.
Yeah. And it was so sad because when she killed herself, I was going through a similar thing. And I was like, oh my God, is that going to be me when I turn 40? Am I going to think nobody cares about me and I'm going to go out and see the kiddies and kill myself? I mean, that's she scared me because I thought, that could be me. She's older than me. So I thought, is that going to happen? Where you're just going to feel like nobody cares about you anymore. Cause that's kind of what happened. She just, she just felt like nobody really gave a shit. And it's so funny because there's so many people did give a shit, but it happens. People do things for whatever reasons they do things. But she really broke the mold because I wanted to I liked the Runaways, but then I was sort of jealous of them. And Joan Jett, I love her now. I really do. But at the time I was just sort of like, well, I could play guitar better than her, that kind of thing. And then Lita Ford, of course, she is a badass guitar player. And again, I love Lita, but I didn't like her songs. I just thought Kiss Me Deadly and things like this were really boring. I'm glad they made a bunch of money, but I just thought, I want something like I don't know. What I had to say needed to be said in a lot more aggressive manner than these women were doing for me. And I thought these people, they could, but see with Wendy O, it was aggressive. And she was the one that was like, okay, I want to be like that, but then I don't want to be like her, but I do want to be like her.
Yep. We got somebody saying hello all the way from Mexico.
Oh, hey, dude. What's up? Oscar.
All right. Speaking of school, the name, I believe I got this name right. Mark Harris. Is that right?
Yeah. That's my old boy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got. I heard you telling the story about this album.
Oh yes, I got busted for that one. Yeah, I thought it was so great.
That story?
Yeah, it was great. Mark Harris was a friend of mine. Well, actually, I was in love with them. I wanted to be his girlfriend, and but here's the funny thing. Years later, when we reconnected, a couple years before I moved out of Arizona. He actually did like me, but didn't think I like him. I thought, what? I thought you didn't. What? I'm like. He's like, I liked you. I was like, you were hot. And I said, are you kidding me? I could have been your girlfriend. Fuck, because I didn't have any boyfriends or in high school at all or anything or anywhere. Like, I never had anything like that. It was just like, I was the kid that was like, So anyway, yeah, Mark Harris. So he and I, there was this place called the Smoking Gate at Apollo High School. And even though I was a fat kid, that's where I found my people, because people there at the Smoking Gate were all stoners and they didn't give a fuck how fat you were, as long as you're hanging out, smoking weed and partying. So cool. So then he was one of the people there, and we started talking about music. And then the next thing I know, he's like, have you ever heard this place called Tower Records? Because I was telling him about places that I've heard of, like, Music Land, which is where I was going to buy most of my records at Metro Center. But he's like, no, there's this place called Roads to Moscow. There's this other place called Zia Records. And then another one called Tower Records that has an import section. I said, what's an import section? And we went. So we went, and I don't know if I ever remember what parent drove. Probably my mom, knowing me. My mom probably drove us because I don't remember. I don't think I ever met his parents. It's probably my mom. So anyway, I was just excited because I'm with the cute boy and I'm like, oh, yay, we're going to go. But man, as soon as he took me there and we went to the import section, all of a sudden my head changed and I was like, whoa, who are all these people? Now that Merciful Fate one was bought and it was purchased at Roads to Moscow, which was like 30 minutes from where we lived. And I saw that cover and I said, oh, yes, that's going home with me. I don't care what it sounds like. And that's the other thing. When I was buying these, I didn't know what they sounded like. And I love that. I love the little treasures of like, maybe it sucks, maybe it doesn't. Who cares? So, but yeah, I brought it home. And then he and I immediately threw it on the turntable in my room. And we're like, what? And then that was it. And the nuns have no fun. And I thought, and then of course I wanted to take it to school to get everybody that into it. So I was like, because I started becoming the person, he and I both actually were the people you go to when you want the cutting edge music that's coming out. You go to Lori and Mark, which is funny. My brother's name's Mark too. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, that's what we did. And then we would go to Zia. And then Zia, this is before Zia Records was anything. There's only one in the whole state of Arizona. And it was like a really little rinky-dink place. And then there was Tower Records, which was big, but they only had that little import section. And I would get these bands like, you know, I was like, you know, this band looks weird. It's called Raven. Let's get that one. Okay, and then we would like go in on stuff too. And like we'd share records like, I'll take these 3 home. You take these 3 home. We'll listen to them. We listened to it together, but then we'll go, you keep them for a week. And then that's how we did it. It was just really fun. It was like, you know, okay. And then we'll trade up and then I would record them, you know, like take it and record it with cassette tapes. So I could bring it, put it in my Walkman and go listen to my songs and listen to my evil devil music, you know, Venom. I got my first Venom album there at Tower Records. I bought my first Venom album at in League with Satan, which was so great because, oh my God, I just like that. I've always been obsessed with the devil because my father was. He had the devil on his arm. That's why I have this. This is his tattoo redone as a where am I going? As a memorial to him. It was just Meg McNeil, my fantastic tattoo artist. She just redid a traditional style that he had. And then this one is the snake, which he also had on his, I keep going the wrong way, on his arm. And he used to go like this and make it move. Oh, I can do it. See? And then he also, his arms are longer than mine. He also had the Mexican flag, which that's coming. That's coming for Christmas. I want to get that. But anyway, he's always had this thing about the devil. And when they went to, him and my mom went to like Hawaii, they got like a little tiki devil mask with little red eyes that he brought home for me. I mean, so, you know, stuff like that to me has just always been like, you know, I even have like the history of the devil, the book and all this. So I just very obsessed like that anyway. So it's sort of like I had to get all this music because I just couldn't believe music like this was actually happening. It was out. I was like, where, you know, Witchfinder General. I was like, what's that about? Or Angel Witch. Oh my God. When I found Angel Witch, I found everything. So yeah, it was great. It's great. But like I said, Mark Harris was instrumental because he taught me about imports. He's like, right, you know, this at that time, you just didn't have any other way to hear music that would be not your normal shit that you find in a regular record store. So that was the way to find it. And especially getting stuff like when I got my Iron, like I turned myself onto Iron Maiden because of the cover, of course. I got Killers. It was my first one and then I went backwards and got the rest of them with Paul Di'Anno. And I got like the EP ones where you've got like, it just has like 2 songs. And one of them was Charlotte the Harlot, a fantastic song. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, this is so great with the artwork, but you get those. And then they have like these imports that are imports, like the Japanese version of like Judas Priest live in Japan. And I'd be like, oh, it's different. And then there was the picture discs. So yeah, they go crazy with picture discs.
That's never ending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Scott Carroll says the devil writes the best music.
Right, exactly. Well, he helps you do it. You just gotta pay. Gotta pay to play, man.
You formed the band in '86, correct?
Hi, Mom. There comes my mama. That's Mama Bravo over there. Okay,
Mama
anyway,
Bravo.
yes,
thank you, Mama Bravo.
Yeah, 85 really, but well, I always say 86 because that's when we finally got Joel. Like we actually, you know, we had the actual band. Right. So I always say that the birthday is March 23rd, 1986. So
yeah, and so you know, you formed the band. You made up the name. Can you talk to everybody about the influence this had on you?
Well, it's a crazy movie, man. It was like me and my brother and our friends, we get real stoned and we, get movies. You go you go rent movies at your local, it was way before Best Buy. I can't even remember what the place was called. It was a video store, video store.
Mom and pop stores.
And I think this one might have even been in the adult section where you're not supposed to go.
Oh.
But anyway, somehow we got it. And I just was like blown away because I had already had recurring dreams when I was like a really little kid about thinking that planets were like crashing into the earth and bombs are going up, but I didn't know where it came from. But I also do know that I did watch the Vietnam War with my mom when I was a baby. I mean, since it was televised, my father was over there and we would watch every night to make sure his name didn't come up as one of the casualties. Oh, and I remember, and I was like, a baby, but I did watch that. And I think that also influenced the violent streak in my brain, maybe. But anyway, this thing was like, I saw what I finally saw. I was like, that's, like that's when they, when the bombs explode and you see all that film that they shot where the person just doesn't exist. It's a shadow, or you see the trees go, woo. And then I would have horrible nightmares about it after I watched it. I mean, that's way scarier to me than a horror movie. So I was like, oh, this is horrible. So I kept sleeping, or I'd sleep and I'd wake up and have sleep paralysis. And this happened like around 5th and 6th grade. Not this, watching this, but just that thing. And then I saw this. And then I was like, they were talking about atomic. And then they were talking about nuclear power and nuclear whatever. And then I don't know. And then I just thought nuclear death. I saw the words like in my head. And I thought, someday I'm going to make a band called Nuclear Death, but I don't know what it sounds like yet. And then it was like, I saw this and I thought, oh my God. And I mean, Phil Joel and I famously used the Duck and Cover song as our intro when we first started playing live. We'd have it played out over the PA, the Duck and Cover with the kids all, yeah. And it's a bomb, Duck and Cover. So yeah, we used that for quite a while. But yeah, that film freaked me out and it changed my life in that way because it just gave me visuals to what I'd always kind of feared and didn't know why I would fear it, especially since I wasn't around anywhere where that would have happened. I don't know how. I just think it's the Vietnam War. I think somehow that went into my head and then somehow, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that's cool. I thought that was pretty neat.
It's weird. It is, and then it's like it became a great movie. I mean, it's a something that we owned for years, like on VHS at the time, because VHS is what you own, and it's like that was like one of the ones that you're gotten to have in your library is Atomic Cafe.
Yeah. So you record your first demo. Do you have any memories of the first time going into the studio and recording and what the engineer was thinking when you guys were like, I'm sure they had never heard anything like it before, which was this tape, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you see, the cool thing about that was that we went in here. Let me, can I even read that?
Welcome.
Does it say Joe Crow on there somewhere?
Oh, let me zoom in if I can. Oh, it didn't zoom in very much.
I'm pretty sure I just found the actual covers of these in my shed where I've been going through Nuclear Death archives for Odin Thompson.
Nice.
And, but anyway, yeah. Okay. So I'm pretty sure it does though. But anyway, yeah. So the good thing about this was that guy, I don't even know how we found him, Joe Crow Correo. He's Joe Crow Correo. And his young gun, he had a studio in his house, and it was super badass. And he recorded that for us, so he was cool with it. Like, in other words, when we did that, it was like it wasn't like he was tripping. Like, he was good about it, and that's why he ended up doing. We asked him to do Bride.
Yeah.
And I don't know why we didn't use him for the other demo. I think he might not have been available, or so I'm not really sure. I can't really remember. But I do know that when we did go in and not use him, that's when people would go, that's when I learned about what I call boy code is, where suddenly it's like, like if you have a drummer that's going to record you and they're an engineer too, the drums are going to be what they focus on. And I was like, okay, if you go in and a guitar player is going to record you, they're going to focus on the guitars. And this kept happening. And I was like, I was seeing the pattern. But Joe didn't do that. He just let us do our thing. And that's why he ended up doing Bride, because we knocked out Bride real fast because we were prepared, but also he was prepared. And he also understood how to wrangle Phil and Joel, because I was Phil's girlfriend, so he could be kind of a jerk. And so when he would get too stupid, Joe could dial it back and get me focused so that I didn't get upset or whatever. But he's the way I found my voice on those recordings, because he locked me in a booth and he said, you know how you are right now? You know how Phil's pissing you off? He was secretly saying this in the booth. He's like, you know how Phil's pissing you off right now? And he's bitching it. He's like, use it. And I started getting angry, and that's where those vocals came from, because I was so pissed off.
I was going to ask you where all the anger and hate comes, because it comes through on tape.
Well, it wasn't just him, obviously. It was just like, he just was that kind of person. He was very sexist, and he could be very controlling. And so if he, I need you to go in there, and I'd be like, it's like, I'm trying to figure out how to sing. Because he was like, I don't think you should sing. Because originally I was singing the song, like a singer sing. And then he's like, and he was right. I was like, look, I'm like, we haven't really figured out how I'm supposed to sing yet, bro. And now we're in the studio. So what are we going to do? And, it's however much bucks an hour. Let's go. And then that's like I said, Joe went in there and he locked me. It was a room closet that I sang in with a little light. And he's like, listen to me. He's like, I just want you to take everything you just did, and I want you to go and say it into that mic. And first I was just saying it, and then I just got more, and then I because I am a singer, I could understand dynamics. Like, okay, it's not just going to be like, rah, rah, rah. It's like, okay, I understand. Okay, let's see what I can do here. Because The Seventh Nun is where I found my voice. That song is the very first song that I actually sang the way that me saying for Nuclear Death.
Yeah, that's a great song, actually.
Yeah, it is. And so it was like, cool. But yeah, before that, I was when I was 6 years old, before we moved to Washington, I had a birthday party, and we had a lot of fun, and I had all the kids over or whatever, from school or whatever. And this girl that was supposedly my best friend, Natalie, if you're out there. Anyway, this little girl came over, and we had these party favors, and the party favors for the birthday girl were different, and they were cooler. And my mom made sure of it. And it was just one, and it's my fucking birthday, whatever. My mom made me a kitty cake. It's pink with like chocolate chips. It's cats, whatever. And so I fucking, while I was turned around, she changed them out, and I knew it. This is when I also find out people will do stupid shit and think that you don't notice, but I notice everything. That's the other thing. I figured out that I'm very observant little fuck. And I was like, that one's mine. And then she had this big thing. We got this blowout, and I got really angry. And it was the first time I'd ever been angry. I didn't even know you could get angry. I'm like 6 years old. I never really wasn't that kind of kid. I was too intellectual, like, honestly, according to my mom, like me and my brother both were too kind of intellectual to be those kids that bug you or whatever. We just go do our own little thing and do our shit. So, or we hung out together and we just do our thing. So we weren't those kids. So that was it was sort of like getting angry was a weird feeling for me, but it was sort of a rush. And then I realized I do have that kind of a dark streak, and it was just it just changed everything. All of a sudden I thought, I just didn't know you could be betrayed. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't realize that a friend would do that to you. I just didn't understand, because I was like one of these like totally nice, sheltered, just I love everybody kid. So I just had no idea. And this is before the fat kid thing, because my puberty hadn't started and it hadn't robbed me of my beauty yet. So I was just like any other kid. Like that wasn't going on just yet. So I had plenty of friends, and I wasn't the weird kid yet or anything. But yeah, it was sort of like, just like the kid that, whatever, like any other kid that's on the Army base, because we were in Fort Lewis, Washington. So, we were on an Army base, and all the kids are different because their parents are all stationed. And so it was all good. It's good in the hood. But that changed everything. And it really, I won't be the last friend to betray me. So it was just really so betrayal became a big thing for me. Again, didn't know the word yet. Also loyalty. These are things that I pride myself for my friends, and I expect the same. And that's kind of what happened. It was just like everything broke. It was like, oh. And then, like I said, I didn't understand the feeling. My heart was racing, and I didn't understand that what it is I'm feeling angry at this girl that's my best friend. And I just didn't understand it. But yeah, it's completely. Anger and I are old friends. So, like I said, I'm an angry young woman. It's just like I have that kind of I like to laugh, I like to be fun, but it's like, you know, don't piss me off. So
Well, it definitely came through. It came through in your vocals.
exactly.
You can definitely feel it. So
And of course,
yeah,
Phil took credit for that in a way which was funny because he's like, yeah, well, if I hadn't pissed you off, blah, 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 blah. I'm thinking, yeah, okay, well, whatever. But, you know, he's right. I mean, because if we hadn't had that little tiff before
yeah,
and had Joe telling me, hey, put it in the mic, I might not have found my voice because that's what I was doing. I was just like, but then after I found my voice, that same demo, like with the demo, when we did the Weekly When I Dead, it was pretty cool because then it was like, I really understood exactly how I was going to sound. I was like, oh, okay. Like, it clicked, like, and I was like, that's how I'm going to sound. And I was like, I was trying to sound like the singer from Destruction originally, but he's got a more nasal, you know, he's German, he sings up in his throat here, and he has a more nasal sound. And although you can sound here, I have a nasal voice in a way, you just, where I need to sing is down, well, from my gut, because opera, you know, down here in the abdominal area, but also down here. And that's that growl is down here. So I had to figure out how to get that happening, because I before I'm up here, if I'm singing like, oh, if I'm up here, if I'm going, oh, I'm down there.
I didn't think we'd get a Lori Bravo growl today. I appreciate that. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. I know, right? Thank you. Fucking yeah. That's so funny. That little girl probably never even remember that.
All right. He just commented. Perfect timing, actually. And my buddy Scott sent me a picture of this. You mailed him this tape.
Yeah, I remember those. See, we thought we were cool. We thought we were cool, man.
Yeah, he asked me. I think we kind of figured out maybe you wrote 9987. Maybe it was supposed to be 1987. I don't know, but he's like, I never knew what that meant. So,
hang on, let me look. Yeah, no. This is us being stoned. Yeah, no. See, what it is it's 1987. Oh no, it's a C, because we were doing like the copyright, but I didn't put the circle around it because I was probably stoned. Yeah, and this is Phil's writing. So he's the one that actually wrote that on there. And see, we thought we were cool. We went to Radio Shack and we got the green ones because, you know, the nuclear death colors are green, fluorescent green, and black. So we thought, I mean, and silver too. But I'm just saying we would go to, I mean, Radio Shack, you could get a brick of these for like pennies, and then we just sit, get stoned, listen to music, and record the demos for everybody. But yeah, that's supposed to be circa 1987 because we were trying to be cool. And so, you know,
I see it now.
Yeah, it's a C, but we didn't do the circle because I'm telling you, we were stoned. Okay, because Phil and I would have done the circle. That's definitely his writing, though. And so, yeah. So, and I remember too, I'd record it, and because he hated doing that, and then he'd write it on there, and I go, yeah, you write it then, and I'll record it.
Yeah.
And we'd all just sit there and, you know, with my brother and his friend, Chris Barkley, and Joel, if he was there, and we'd just sit and make these all night and just get drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool of him to send me that photo. I think he sent it to me yesterday. So,
yeah, those things were great.
He's in a, I don't know if is in a band called Cyanide. So
cool. Well, shout out to Cyanide then. Hey dude, hit me up with your with anything, YouTube, anything, man. I'll promote, man. I'm a natural promoter, so I like to promote other people.
Yeah, he's happy to know that he knows what that means now after, what is that, 30
you finally 30, know
34
years because we were stoned. That's why we forgot to put the circle, because we were being cool. Like I said, we were being cool. We were trying to be cool.
Yeah. So you ended up doing 4 demos, correct? Before Bride.
Let's see. Wake Me When I'm Dead. Welcome to Minds Morbid. We did Symphony Agony. It's not a demo. It's a live tape. And then Vultures Feeding. Yep. Because the one is the live one that we did. That's Joel's party that we recorded. So we put it out as a live tape. So
were you? I guess just since that tape reminded me, were you tape trading back then yourself?
Oh yeah. That we had these friends. We actually had some friends, and they were their band was called Desecration. They were more. They were more hardcore. Yeah. Okay. Well, those guys.
Had a great album. Had a great album called Who's in Control.
Yes. So
I
they
love
were
that
cool.
album.
This is back before albums, obviously. We're all like little kid, whatever, like young guns. And we partied with them. I mean, I think we were just smoking weed or whatever. But anyway, they were like talking about tape trading. We're like, what the fuck's tape trading? And then they turned us on to how to do it. They were like, this is how you can reach more people. And then you also make pen pals. So I thought, well, that sounds fun. And then, yeah, he's like, this way you can reach people. And I was, because there's no other way to do it. And they were also instrumental with Desecration and turning us on to something called zines. And I was like, I'd seen zines in places like Roads to Moscow, Zero Records, and from different countries and stuff in different places. And I was like, oh, that's what those are. Because I used to like to get them and I didn't know what any of the bands were. I didn't have any idea. We made a couple of our own zines because, again, we thought, all you had to do is draw a bunch of shit and fucking put a bunch of clip art in there and you can call it zine. Cool. So, in fact, Phil, I just finally opened up archives. I moved the boxes from our original garage in Arizona here, and I still never opened them. And then I opened them because Odin needs stuff that's rare. And I was like, I got to open these and see what's in there. And then we live in the climate, we live in, so we had to get a bunch of storage bins that are plastic so we can put all that shit. Because, these are in boxes that are from when I moved out of my parents' house when I was 19. That's how long they've been with me. So there's like nuclear death stuff in there. And one of the things I found was that I forgot Phil was reviewing. He reviewed albums for a while. Of course he's a great writer. I'm a good writer too, but I didn't want to do that because I felt like I had too much shit to do. But he did. He did that for a while. He reviewed other bands because his problem was being a really good writer and coming from a background of Catholic school, that he didn't like the way that the zines. Everybody's doing this by the seat of your pants. Not everybody can write. So his problem was he didn't really like the way that that a lot of these zine people were reviewing the music because it really just wasn't that well written. And he was like, I think I can be more objective. And he was. That was one thing. He wasn't objective with me or with us really, but he was objective when he did the thing, and he had really good points. So that way it would be interesting for you to read it. Because we would read these zines and then start thinking, this sounds like everything else, or they don't really know how to describe. A lot of people don't know how to describe music, and he did. So that was cool. So anyway, it was really cool. It's like he did that for a while, and I just found the actual things that he used to do. Like I found like actual typed things, because of course then who would do the typing? Me. He wouldn't want to do it, so he'd dictate to me and I'd sit there and type it on our old crappy typewriter. And and then we'd go to the copy shop and go copy them up and make these zines. But zines, instrumental. So Desecration, about the tape trading, they were instrumental in helping us do that. And then I became addicted to it because that's like an addictive thing for me. I was like, oh, I can write people and they write back. And then, we would get all kinds of things. There were these people that I forgot who they were. I don't remember what band it was, but we got sent hash in the mail through in tapes. They put it inside the cassette tape. Ooh, it was really, 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 really good. It was strong. And we were like, oh, fuck. I don't know. I forgot where they come from. And maybe Sweden. I don't know. I just remember we got hash in the mail a lot. That seemed to be something people like to send a lot, was hash. I don't know how. I don't know why it didn't. I think because it looked like the felt in the tape. I don't know. All I know is that happened a lot during that time frame. And we'd be like, all right, let's go get the knives, Well, maybe some hot knives.
Well concealed cash or well concealed hash, right?
It was just sort of funny because we get these and go. We sent a little. We actually sent weed through the mail a couple times, not knowing that you shouldn't be doing that shit. Yeah, we didn't know. We thought, we'll send them a couple good buds, man. All right, and we put them in. And they said, make sure to put it in the tape. So we put it inside the tape. We'd open up the tape, put it in, close it, boom, and then and not the tapes you're going to listen to, just be another tape. And go, that one's got a surprise. Who knew? We didn't have any idea you shouldn't be doing that shit at all. Not that it was like super duper illegal. It was like whatever, they're sending us hash.
Yeah. Your vocals. We talked about your style and everything, but as far as a lot of the stuff is you sing pretty fast. I don't know if that had anything to do with your early punk, like the early punk influences. If that had anything to do with it, or was it just the music was so fast you had to fill in so many words?
Oh, well, here's the cool thing about that. Okay, so first of all, it actually had nothing to do with punk whatsoever. What
Oh.
it had to do with is that we wanted to make a band that was fast. At that time, we felt Slayer was the fastest. Possessed tried to be faster, but their lyrics were really, really mediocre. Too much rhyming hell was spelled for me. So we went for Slayer because their lyrics were a lot better. And of course, being me and Phil, discerning writers, we wanted good lyrics.
Yeah.
So we weren't going to just go for hell spelled dwell in hell. So anyway, we once we realized what, me and he and Joel got together and said, we're going to try to be the fastest we can be. Because I was like, this is called nuclear death. I was like, we need to sound extreme. Like we need to pass up. And again, I said this with Jade. I want to pass up the boys. I said, I know you're boys, but I'm a woman and I want to pass those fuckers up because they think they're fast and they're not fast. And we're going to show them how fast you can actually play. So because of that, then the vocals have to mirror that. They might not have to, but I wanted them to. I wanted to sing faster than anyone was singing because that was another thing that apparently was big in the underground. It was like, oh, blah, blah, blah can sing really fast. I thought, oh, really? Well, try this on for size, bro. And it was like, so that was kind of what I was doing. It was sort of me being able to finally claim something and not they can't take it away. It was like, we're going to go so fast it's going to sound like violins. I was like, that's what I want this to sound like. I want it to sound like a soundtrack. I want it to sound like violins and violas and bass fiddles. I want it to be so fast that it sounds like we're using a bow. And then we're going to take that and we're going to put vocals to it where I'm singing so fast that you don't know what I'm saying, but I'm going to try to articulate it as much as I could, because there were times where I couldn't do it where it would be so articulated, but they're there. It's there, and the vocals are there. So it's like, but yeah, that was just, I thought it sounded really very violent and aggressive. This woman screaming. So and so to me, it just blew everybody out of the water as far as extremity, being extreme. Like I said, I kept thinking, well, this is so much more extreme than you people ever could be. So cool. And I wasn't even thinking of Slayer. That was a huge, I loved them and all that stuff, but I'm just saying, it was like, that's what I wanted to do. It was like, there was a bunch of bands that were already, that we had become friends with by then, or whatever, where they were doing similar vocal styles, sort of, with the growling and whatnot, but nobody was singing fast. And I thought, I don't know. And I also have this really weird thing about fast. Like I'm a rusher. Like, it's weird coming to the Big Easy because you got to learn to fucking slow down. I just met and I just saw this fantastic hip hop artist, rapper. His name's Alfred Banks. There he is right there. He's local. He's no local. He's an activist and he's a major poet. He's amazing. I just saw him at the Cinco de Mayo show. And he was telling me, look, he's like, here's what you got to remember about New Orleans. You can't rush here, but you can hustle. He's like, there's a difference. He's like, you can hustle, but don't rush. And I thought, yeah, that's the part that I have trouble with, because I'm used to being like everything. I walk fast, I talk fast, and I always felt like you're rare. I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. Yeah. I'm late. That's how I feel. I don't know why. And I even came out a day early of my mom's vajayjay. So I guess I was supposed to be May 17th, but I got out. I mean, come on, like what? Something about being fast. I don't know. So I'm always in a rush, and I have to kind of remind myself to slow down. Even when I made this album, I had to remember to play the songs slower than I think they should go, because they'll be the right speed. I noticed I'd get anxious and I'd start playing and I'm like, okay, nope, this is too fast. And I'd have to slow it down, Lori. I'm sitting in the studio talking to myself going, slow it down because you're playing it too fast. You can play it fast later. On the album, you need to slow it down. And it was really hard. So yeah, me and speed, even the advert that Joel answered, we put speed, aggression, violence. That was what we put. We thought that would be a thing to catch in the New Times, because put in the New Times to find a drummer and a bass player originally. And even that, because I was like, that's what we want people to know, that's the kind of music I want to play. And again, didn't know what kind of music it was going to sound like yet or anything, but we were going to be, that's what we want. But yeah, the fast thing, just something about it. And then, like I said, the nuclear thing. I mean, it's like in a second, you're gone. It's like a nuclear bomb hits, you're gone. And that's kind of what I wanted it to be like. You hear the song and it's not It's Over, not Napalm Death, where it's like 1 second long, but there has to be some sort of body to it. But I wanted it to just be like this cacophony, this symphony of agony, this symphony of sound, and a wall of sound. I wanted it to sound like a wall. I was like, I love Phil Spector's Wall of Sounds with the Ronettes, with Ronnie, and I wanted to imitate that, but in our setting. I was like, I'm like, I don't know how to do this because I didn't even know what recording was, but I was like, I tell the guy, I go, you know who Phil Spector is? I said, that's what we want it to sound like, this wall of sound. And they'd either get it or they wouldn't.
Yeah, I get it. All right, so the first album, Bride of Insect, whenever I guess you realized, you found out you're going to have an album out at that time. Yeah, do you remember kind of what your feelings were at the time? It's like, oh shit, we're going to have an album out, or what were your thoughts back then?
Well, my thoughts. Originally, I was real happy about it because we had been trying to get signed, and people around us were getting signed quickly. And I thought, why aren't we getting signed? And they were like, well, you haven't been out long enough, Flotsam Jetsam or Sacred Reich. And I was like, well, so what? We're better. In my head, I kept thinking, but we've got a woman anyway. So why? I just never understood that. Sex sells, and I actually was good looking. So I didn't get it. I thought, there you go. Any idiot, like bigger label should have been like, we need to get on this because that person, I can sell that person anyway. But they didn't do it. We were so extreme that they were like, oh, So when we made the record, here's the problem with the making of that record as far as being excited. We were excited until we didn't get what I thought we were supposed to get. And that was that the people that we were, our contemporaries, our peers that did get signed, that we were friends with, that weren't those people, when we got the contract or whatever, it was like, it wasn't being paid for. That should have been the clue, but it wasn't. It didn't. I was so excited that I just signed it on Easter Sunday and never thought it. And like, I'm 19 years old and I never thought anything else about it. And my brother recently sent me a Dave Chappelle where it's a whole thing where he didn't do comedy. He talked about being fucked over with the same kind of thing. And this is exactly what happened to me. It's like, I read it. I should have taken it to a lawyer. I should have talked to other people. We didn't do anything. So we signed it. And unfortunately, what happened is first of all, it wasn't going to be paid for. I mean, usually the record label pays for you and then they get paid through your sales. And that didn't happen. So my parents are the ones who paid for Bride of Insect. They took a loan out and they were the ones who paid for Bride of Insect. So, and then it was like, I mean, they were willing to do whatever. They realized that I wanted this as a career and they were fine with whatever I was going to do. But yeah, they paid for it and then we did it. So it was sort of exciting, but then it sort of wasn't because I just kept thinking, well, why do we have to pay for it? But we kept being told that better things would be coming with Richard C. telling us this and that. So we just went ahead with the program. And then the rest of it, as far as that goes, was cool. I mean, it was just like we were, excited to finally put our own album out. And of course, we wanted to make sure we weren't like everybody else. So the first thing we did is I said, we are not doing it black. That is not going to fucking happen. No. Everything's black. Fuck that. And so we chose the silver with the black to be, again, even then I thought we've got to do this differently because it's got to stick out on a shelf. I want to look and go, what is that? It's a black album. It's going to look like every other black album. It's like, there's just too many black albums with white on them or red. And I was like, this is going to hopefully stick out. And, it has that great drawing that Phil did. And it's like, it's classic. It really is classic. And I'm really glad that we chose those colors.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely sticks out, but I mean, I think I said in the intro, I've never heard anybody ever compared to Nuclear Death. Oh, they sound like Nuclear Death because nobody can recreate what you guys did at the time.
Exactly. So, and it's funny. It's really cool. I'm so glad because that was one of my goals was like, I mean, I don't mind if somebody wants to, because people tell me that I'm a big influence, but when you listen to their music, you don't hear it in there, which is fine. I shouldn't hear it in there, but if I did, it's okay too. But it's sort of interesting. And I'm glad because again, Miles Davis is my favorite. And I always wanted to create music that no one's made before, and we did that, and that's one of the biggest things that I've ever wanted to do as an artist, is do something no one's done before, or not the way I've done it, and or we've done it, I should say. And it was like that. It's hard to copy because you have to know how to do the picking style, and that's the main thing. If you want to learn the song at all, like, you know, that would be the one thing. But then there's just the vocals. You know, if a guy does it, that's cool and everything, but it's not going to have the same impact as a woman doing it. Anyway, hey, Andrea, what's up? So it's sort of that kind of thing where, you know, and I figured we'd hear bands that sound like us by now, but I really don't. I don't. And then every album, I made sure every album was always different. Nuclear Death was going to be whatever I fucking wanted it to be. And so it was like, I never want to make the same album twice. So there's also, that might be something too, though, because you have to go through a lot of different styles if you're going to choose to, you can nick things from us, but you're going to have to choose different styles because it depends on what album you're listening to, because every album sounds different and it's totally different kinds of music and it's played differently. And so, you know, you can't really just say it's one way, you know.
Right.
So,
and I mean, like you mentioned earlier, and you mentioned Slayer, but you didn't want to sound like Slayer. You wanted to up the ante. You wanted to turn it up to, you know, even higher than Slayer. So
turn it up past 11.
Past 11. Anybody watching in a band, just you can be influenced by Nuclear Death, but say, well, kind of use their thought process. Well, we're gonna be try to be more extreme or do something, you know, more than not just sound exactly like Nuclear Death. Not that anybody's been able to, but I mean,
that's the thing. But there are women, and I noticed a lot of women in South America. There are players that are from like places like Colombia and Chile and places like that, Mexico, of course. And I noticed that, Necrobeast Saudi for sure. And and that's something that I noticed that they're playing in bands that their bass styles are a lot like they're both all three of these women are bass players, and it's really interesting because their bass styles like mine. And I think it's not. And I think it's totally cool that they were influenced by that. So it seems like that has happened because my bass style is me playing guitar and the bass because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And that was the whole point. It was just like, all right, I'm just going to do the Angel Witch thing and play the guitar and the bass. Let's go. I'm Noel Redding. But it's like, that's a style that someone has now been influenced by, and, you know, or whatever. Or then later when I took over guitar, I just took over our picking style on the guitar that we already had cultivated, Phil and I, to make it sound more like I said, like it should be sounding like a violin. It should be like this, and not chunky. I didn't want chunky because all the dudes were chunky, and I was like, I don't want chunky because everybody does that. All the bands that we knew in Arizona were like sort of like that. Not all of them, but the people that we were kind of like shying away from wanting to even be remotely sounding like we're like that. And I was like, no. I'm like, we can't have chunky monkey. That's not going to fly. So, you know, it's like the picking style is the main thing, like I said, because it's like, it's the idea of, but it's like buzzing, you know, there's just this, you know, or like, I think I'm trying to remember, was it what the famous, I can't remember, was it Metal Hammer? No, it couldn't have been Metal Hammer. Well, we were reviewed in something. I can't remember what magazine it was. It can't be Metal Hammer because they love us or whatever, but it was a magazine, and they said that the drums were so inaudible that it sounded like it's so fast that it sounds like he's not even hitting the snare. And I said, that's perfect, because that's exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted to make it so fast that you almost can't understand what you're listening to, but yet it's very cultivated. The songs are very well crafted. They're not just like, let's do 3 power chords and then whatever. We wanted to do, you know, more musical merit. I always quote Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys, but I wanted to do an album that had more musical merit than my male counterparts could do. Not that they aren't good. It's just, I thought that we had something a lot more intellectual to do and to say. And that's where we went. I felt like we were a little bit more like Neil Peart. You know, it's like I wanted to be a little bit more intellectual in our music than just, you know, whatever, 3 chords in hell spell dwell in hell.
Yeah. Scott kind of nailed it here. Nuclear Death sounded like a nightmare, their own nightmare. Those albums still scare me 30 years later. Impossible for anyone to recreate that.
They scare me. You know, it's like they're just scary because I can't believe that we did them and that they got made, especially if you know all the backgrounds on all these albums and what we had to go through to make them. It's not easy. Nothing was easy. I would say the first one is the easiest one, except for my parents having to pay for it. That was actually easy because, like, again, our engineer was awesome, and
Yeah.
he was cool as shit. But the rest of that stuff just was not fun. And it was just like I said, there was all these codes about like how long things take. And, you know, because I like to sing vocals in one take. And you'll notice, well, you won't notice because you don't know, but I'll tell you with my new album, Bare Bones, all the vocals are in one take, every single one of them, including all my harmonies. I just don't like to waste time. I'm late for a very important day. I'm a timekeeper. I'm absolutely obsessed with clocks. I have many. I'm all obsessed with time. And so Father Time and I, you know, I'm obsessed with it. So it's sort of like, I don't have time to waste. So I don't want to sit there for 6 hours trying to figure out a guitar sound. It's like, this sounds cool. Let's move on. And then,
right.
And, you know,
you can overthink sometimes, you know?
Yeah, and then when when Steve joined the band, then he kind of helped me too. Or we used to make these things called the band Bible, and the recording Bible or studio Bible, and we would map out exactly how we were going to do everything before we ever went in the studio. And the engineers would say, "Oh my God, you know, you guys are one of the most prepared bands I've ever been in. I mean, you've got it down. We don't have to waste time doing some bullshit, and it's money. You know, time is money. When you're in a studio, you're paying for time, and it's like we didn't have a lot of money ever." So it was like, if we're going to do that, and I mean, me and Steve, it was like, if we're going to do it, we need to do it fast and efficient. Yeah. And that's when he helped me to get to that state, because there was nothing fast and efficient with Phil and Joel. Absolutely not. It was very mind-numbingly like, oh my God, you know, like, so it's never, you wanted to be, you thought you'd be fast and efficient, then you go in, it would fall apart. So, you know, yeah.
Fast and efficient. So I had a few questions about this one.
Yeah.
You did those portraits, right?
Damn straight.
Yeah, I always thought those were cool, and
I love them. Yes, very proud of them.
You guys had Chris Reifert from Autopsy, like he was in town, or
no.
How did he get involved in this?
Okay, so I fell in love with Chris Reifert, and we started talking on the phone. And by this time, Phil and I were through in my head already. I was so sick of him and the way he was to me. I just couldn't take it anymore. And in the meantime, we had gotten a new drummer, this young kid that used to come to our shows. He's 19, and he's a vegetarian, which was something that I'd always have been and never realized that I really could be. But I've always never really been a meat eater. And he was the first person to be like, oh, I don't eat meat. And I thought, oh, good. Now I don't have to eat meat because he doesn't either. Good, cool. And I don't. I haven't had. I mean, I've been vegetarian or vegan for like 35 years, but it was kind of like he came in with this influence of like expansion, because he was a jazz drummer at first and a trumpet player, and as a kid, and he was again young, and he had other ideas as far as like where we could take Nuclear Death already, because he was a fan, a super fan. So when he came in, to the fold, and I'm the oldest, by the way. I'm older than Phil too by a couple years. Phil and I were not getting along, but we were trying. And then Chris Reifert and I started talking on the phone, and I fell for him. We talked on the phone. So I asked him to come out and sing on the record, and he said yes. And the idea was that we could meet in person and figure out where to go from there, because I thought I was going to be his girlfriend. I mean, we really did. Chris and I was ready to leave Phil for Chris, and I didn't know how that was going to work, but he was willing to, you know, have me come live with him in San Francisco and whatever I need to do, or Antioch or wherever it is, you know. And we wrote each other every day. I mean, it was really intense. And then he came out, and when he came out, Steve, that night before, this is so weird. Steve, we were outside because Steve used to stay up later, and Phil would always fall asleep. He's a Capricorn, and he'd always fall asleep early, and it would be really boring, like 12 o'clock or something. He's asleep. So me and Steve would stay up smoking weed later. And I was saying goodbye to Steve because Steve didn't live with us. And we lived with Phil's parents. And Steve looked at me and he said, I love you, and I will do anything and everything to support you. And I was like, wow. And I just knew. I saw fireworks. And so Chris was on his way out to come sing. And I felt bad because Chris is a Pisces, and he's very, very psychic. And he had a dream the night before. He said we were at a party and I wasn't talking to him. Well, guess what? I didn't not talk to him, but we had a party when he came for our at our practice space, and I felt really weird because I knew that I wasn't going to pick him after all. I thought, oh shit, he's going to send me a plane ticket, and I'm choosing Steve, and that's what happened. And so that's how he got on there. And I mean, we're all good now. I haven't talked to him in years, but I mean, it's all good. But I'm just saying, I broke his heart, literally. He sent me a plane ticket, and instead I chose Steve. I sat there at 5:30 in the morning with a plane ticket in my hand, and I said, I think I'm supposed to be with you. And he said, okay. And I was Steve's first girlfriend, by the way. And yeah, and then we were together for 13 years and made some great records. So obviously I was supposed to be with them. I mean, that's the whole thing that happened. But it was horrible. It was just like on the phone, we were great. But when I met him in person, it just wasn't there. And I thought, oh no, it's not the same. Oh no. And it wasn't because of the way he looked or anything. He was a fabulous, fantastic person and a badass fucking drummer and singer. He was fucking amazing. But I just, what did I say? I don't know what it is about me being with people in my own band, but that's just what happened, you know. And it's like, and like I said, it was supposed to happen because, and Steve and I are still friends, by the way. In fact, I just talked to him yesterday. So yeah.
Oh, nice. Oops. Sorry about
that. Yeah, that's how he sang. He came and sang, and then when he came, that was the other thing. It was like the fates intervened. When Chris came out, we didn't really get a chance to connect on any kind of physical, so to speak. I wasn't like I was going to cheat on Phil or something with him or anything weird like that. But, you know, we did want to kind of, you know, maybe see what's up. And we couldn't do that because I got deathly ill and I got the flu. And I think that was the fates. I really do. I mean, he kissed me anyway, but I had 103 temperature when I made Carry On for Worm. It's horrible. And he was holding me up when we were doing the vocals. I was very, very sick. So I just couldn't even walk. It was horrible. And it was just awful. But yeah. But I'm sure you won't mind me telling the story now because it's like, I mean, I've told it before. It's just, you know, it just wasn't meant to be. I wanted it to be, but it just, when he got there and Steve, it's almost like Steve knew, like we had never even acted like we were anything. And then he's like, Lori, I have to tell you something. And I was like, what? He's like, it was like frantic. Like, I need to let you know that I love you. And then I was like, well, what are you talking about? What do you mean you love me? Oh my God. But yeah, and see, Steve's younger than me. He's 4 years younger than me, and and like I said, I just thought I just knew, like I said, I just knew that we were supposed to be together, and it was like that's just what happens. What are you gonna do? So you know, but it's kind of cool. Like if it's like you know, I mean, I'd never had like two people court me before. I mean, I was like I said, I was the fat girl nobody liked, and then suddenly got two people, and I got to figure. And they're both drummers, which I have a special affinity for. I love drummers. I love I used to sleep to Phil's drums, or to Steve's drums. Literally, he played next to me, like, because we had our studio in our bedroom, and I'd sleep, and I just listened to him play, and I just go to sleep. It's like something about the beats of drums, and something about, I think it's because drummers are just like the worst with all the shit they have to have, every little wing nut and every little thing that they got to have for their fucking drums, and it's like it's so hard to manage it. I think it's the worst instrument to choose if you don't want to have shit dropping everywhere. You know, it's easier to pick up your guitar, you got some strings and picks or whatever, but drums are just every little here. Oh no, I lost my felt. Now I can't use my ride cymbal. I'm like, oh God. You know,
there's
it's
some
like
back there. Yeah, you see my drums?
That's what I'm saying, right? Don't you think? Though?
Yeah,
you got this cymbal polish and you got
mine are all like you know, I'm not a drummer. I just own drums, but
I had drums, but yeah, I just something about it because it's something I don't do. I'm very, I mean, I can play drums well enough to I used to do it so Steve could sound check in our studio. He taught me how to play them enough to he'd go hit the ride cymbal, hit the crash. Here's the snare. Like he taught me like, here's what this is called. And that's what this is called and whatever, like if I didn't know and whatever, but yeah, I don't play them really. So yeah, but I have a thing about drums because like I said, they're just, people don't give anybody credit. And when I got into Rush, there was the first band I had ever found that people actually were revering the drummer. I thought, oh, he writes the lyrics. Well, excuse me. And I thought, cool. And then it was like, I got into the idea that, hey, not all drummers are just back there in the background. You know, it's like, because they are usually in the background. They're looking at your ass the whole damn time. So yeah, they got to be back there going to yo. But yeah, so I've always had a thing for drummers because of that.
Well, here we go. Join a band with Lori and get a girlfriend too. Win-win.
Yeah, right. I know. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened. It's just something. Maybe it's because they're working on something that's my passion and the thing I wake up for, and maybe that's it. But yeah. I don't know. And some people say you shouldn't do that either, which I would say that I'm glad that I don't, because see, Phil and I were not in a band. We like, well, okay. I was kind of wanting to play for me as a guitar player if he wanted to be in a band with me, but I told the story to Jade. He did fall for me, and that's why he joined the band. But then it was okay because he was supposed to. I mean, that's the thing. We were supposed to be, and even though it was not a good relationship, it fueled me in a great way. And I've said this before, like these early recordings were made out of blood, sweat, and tears, my friends. You know, I should have got out of that 6-year relationship way earlier, but I didn't, because the music was so good that I chose to stay, because the music was that good. And there, again, you're not finding drummers and guitar players that were like Joel and Phil. There were nobody like them. So I had to wait for Steve. Steve shows up and plays drums, and suddenly he's as good as Joel in a different way. And I thought, oh, now we can finally fire Joel since I'm getting sick of his shit. And then it was fine. And then once Steve and I, you know, started talking and realizing, you know what, he's like, you don't even need another person. And he's like, you're a guitar player. You ought to play all the parts yourself, and fuck that guy, because, you know, you and Phil treats you like shit. I said, all right, let's do that. And that's what we did. We became a duo, and we never looked back after that. Never looked back to being if we had played live, we would have, but unfortunately we never played live really when I was with Steve. Not really, just not after Phil left. No.
Yeah. Another thing you guys pushed to the extreme was the lyrics, for sure. I remember being like, you know, young teenager, and I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on here? I mean, they were I mean, for a teenager, they were, you know, looking back at it now, I get it now, right? But they were kind of almost like unsettling, you know what I mean? So I think you guys definitely pushed the boundary on lyrics back then. And you know, it was just, can you talk a little bit about the lyrical approach?
Absolutely, because it's 100% very important. It's like a lot of people in bands will say that its music is number one. I know Kurt Cobain famously said, as far as he's concerned, he doesn't give a shit if you understand what he's saying during Smells Like Teen Spirit at all. It's about the music. But for us, for me, the lyrics were very important. And like I said, I just lucked out because Phil was a Catholic school dropout, but he was highly intelligent. And that's probably what drew me to him, because I'm all about intellect. And it's like, you know, I come from a highly intelligent family, and my brother is so scary smart. He's scared. I mean, my brother scares me. He's like almost sinister smart. It's very terrifying. And he was even moved up 2 grades. So I come from an intellectual family, and I you know, I'm not saying I'm intellectual. I always feel kind of stupid around my dad, but I'm just saying it's sort of like that. My mom's a professor of art history. You know, we don't fuck around here. So it's sort of like meeting him, and him being so well read and so well versed. Yeah. And, you know, he wanted to be a science fiction horror writer. So all we did was shorten his stories. And, you know, he's instrumental in the way the lyrics, because if you read the lyrics, they're great. I mean, they're great. They're well written. They're well written, man. They are. Yeah. And then I started, you know, I had just started writing myself. I wrote Rigor Mortis, and I wrote Lockjaw, and I wrote part of the song, Nuclear Death, especially the acid rain part. That was mine. And then of course I sang the vocals on that with the opera thing, so I thought it'd be cool. But yeah, he wasn't encouraging, of course. He really wanted to take over the lyrics. And again, you know, I'm his girlfriend, and we were in the band together anyway. And I thought, you know, because I was doing all this other stuff. I'm the one that was doing like the managing, if you will, even though I didn't really want to do it, but PR, I was doing all the tape trade. You know, it's like I had all this other stuff I was doing too. And I also used to ink the drawings. Like, not all his drawings were done. They were done by him, but they were also inked by me. Like, he would go, I don't want to, here, you ink it. I mean, it's just sort of like that. We worked together constantly. So if you look at that kind of thing, it was like, whatever, if he's going to write four stories in a row, and I'm going to write one, that's fine. I just didn't fucking matter, but they were great. So, you know, when you read them now, you know, or like Shrieking Terror, the do, 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 that's me. I wrote that riff. But again, it was like, we weren't going to be all nitpicky at the time. We weren't going to be all nitpicky about who did what to who, because we were a single unit. And then, of course, you could say, well, Joel wrote his drum parts. So, you know, did he write the song? No. But did he write the drum parts? Of course. Yeah. So, you know, we would do, you know, music by Nuclear Death or whatever you're going to do. But I really wanted to showcase his lyrics and say, and we made sure we put that they were by him because they were by him. It was like they were amazing. And like I said, just so well written. That's the thing we kept saying about other bands is that people can't write. So it's like, you know, if you're going to, not that you all have to write because, you know, there's really great, like hardcore bands of all kinds that very, very simplified lyrics, bluesmen that write very plainly. That's fine. It's just for us, it's not where we were going for. I wanted to take it further. And then we didn't have any ceiling. It was like, we're going to go when he wrote Necrobestiality, because he had just determined me on to what that meant. I knew what bestiality was, but I didn't know what necro, but I did know necro. So I said, oh, we're going to go there. Okay. And then for me, it was like acting because, you know, he's doing this from the point of view, usually of a male. So I had to shove my junk in my trunk and be a dude. And that's kind of where that came from. Also singing the lyrics. I'm an observer in the lyrics, I might be, but some of these are sung like where you're singing as first person. So if I'm singing first person and I'm singing Death, My Only Love, I'm singing the character that I am. And that's what's kind of fun because I also am an actress by nature. So being able to act out whoever I'm going to be. Am I going to be Farrell Becerra? Or a Guinea Man? Guinea Man's horrible because that's something Phil was afraid of. That's why he wrote about it, because he was always afraid of what if he had to sell his body to science, or he had to, if we couldn't make any money, if he'd have to go and go to one of those clinics where you go and you do the trials for money. That's what that's about. And so, because we were always broke, and it was like, even though we both worked, by the way. And when he wrote Guinea Man and those first notes, I'm like, oh my God, that's horrible. I said, sounds like a cat being like, you know, like being pulled. And I was like, then we got to use that, you know. And it was just, then he wrote the lyrics and I was like, oh my God, I thought these lyrics are so cool. It's just one of my favorite songs, I think, is Guinea Man, because it's so, you know, the story, the way it's being told, and you don't realize what happened to the person until the end. And that's the other thing, the punchline. He did a lot of, I also write like that, where there might be a punchline at the end. I don't mean where it's funny either, but you might not get to the end. You might not know what's going to happen to the end. And you're like, that was one of those ones where like, oh shit, you know, that's, you know, or Cremation. That's a good one, you know, for that. But yeah, like when you go back and read the lyrics, because see, again, I'm looking at archives right now. So I don't go and listen to Nuclear Death all the time at all, because I'm too busy working on my new shit. So if I'm not listening to Nuclear Death, I'm not reading our lyrics, his lyrics, whatever, a lot. And and I found, I just found like the notebooks. Apparently, I don't know how I got this stuff, because I swore he kept stuff when I left him. But apparently, I've got all the notebooks books with the original lyrics written. Yeah. That he actually wrote.
That's cool.
Like I've got and me too. Like you can see, there's Cremation, then we have notations next to it, and I can't read them. I don't know what we were doing. We were probably stoned, and like we always were. So I don't know. But yeah, there's all these like, you know, or like the original draft of A Dark Country, because that's another really great song. It's really spooky and it's so cinematic. And that song too, that's another one where I was like, oh, these are the original, because he had like a couple drafts to figure out how we were going to work it in and how we were going to sing it into the music. Yeah. Because sometimes he would write lyrics without music completely, and then just we figure out, maybe he'd make a riff and then we'd figure out from there because he always left it to me, you know, how am I going to sing these? Let Laurie figure out how to do it, because I don't know. He's just writing it down. He's like, here's a riff, here are lyrics, have fun, figure it out how you're going to sing it or how I'm going to phrase it. So lyrics, instrumental in Nuclear Death. And after I took over the lyrics, instrumental no matter what. It just didn't matter. It's like I wanted to make sure. The only difference with mine, I felt, was that I broke out, and Planet Kashyyyk is its own thing, because I created characters. That's like those are. I still want to make this a movie. I would love to make it a film like Heavy Metal. I really do. That's what I've always seen the Planet Kashyyyk being, is a movie like The Wall or Heavy Metal, animated and non-animated at the same time. But when I created all the characters, they're characters. It's a story. But the other albums that we made, like when we made, because All Creatures was not entirely written by Phil. It was written by us. Steve wrote Bones of the Lip himself, the whole thing, the music and the lyrics. And I wrote some of the lyrics in All Creatures Great and Eaten. And I also wrote the song All Creatures Great and Eaten and titled it such. That was the first song I ever wrote all on my own. But for Nuclear, that is, I mean, since the demo days. But when we did that, and then when we did Harmony Drinks Me, same thing. It's like Harmony Drinks Me is me reminding myself that I'm a woman, and I wanted to sing in a more feminine way. And I don't mean the vocals, I mean talking about things that might be more female oriented, because I'd never done that before. And it also started to become autobiographical, which is the way I actually am now. I'm my lyrics and my songs now and my Marry the Devil, they're all autobiographical. And I also, so is my photography. I'm a person that documents things and documents my life. And that's really, I'm a self-portraitist. When I paint, that's really how I do it. I've always wanted to be that way. And I just didn't know that that's what I wanted to do. But Harmony did that for me. It helped me to turn. It's still metaphorical. It's sort of, you might not know exactly what I'm trying to really say in those, but unfortunately, Steve being a Libra, he knew exactly what I was saying in those, and I was leaving him in that record. I left him during the record. Well, actually, once we finished it, and it was a goodbye to Nuclear Death and to my life with him, because it was time. It was time for me to branch out and become a woman and become my own songwriter.
Yeah, there's just one last note on lyrics. There's lyrics that over time stick with you, and for whatever reason, you read them for the first time, and it just like stays imprinted in your brain. And for me, one of them is it was on Carry On for Worm. I'm trying to remember the song, but for some reason the line "her vagina had teeth" just blew my mind. I'm like, what the I never forgot that line for some reason. I was like, I'm like, what, that came out in like 91 or so, I can't remember.
I think it was 91.
I was 16 years old, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Isn't that Vampirism?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like the last song.
Yeah, Chris was on that one. He was on that one. He was on that one and Cathedral Sleep. Vagina Dentata. Who knew that he, again, see, Phil's very well read. That's the thing. See, that damn Catholic fucking school shit. Like my mom wanted to send me to Catholic school because she knew how smart I was. And my dad decided he didn't want me to go, which is funny because he's the Mexican in the family. He's Catholic. But my mom, being the Protestant, was like, I think we should send Lori to Catholic school. He said, hell no. Too bad, because you get a better education. But who cares about the other shit? Whatever. But you do get a better education. And now Phil did drop out, but he's so well read. That's what I'm saying. I would never have known what that meant. Like, what's vagina dentata? I mean, now we've got that funny movie. I think it is called Teeth, But back then, it was like, what does this mean? And he's like, and see, that's a fuck you to me, because he was mad at me when he wrote that. He wrote it about me because he was trying to diss me, sort of. Because he had this thing about menstrual blood, and see, I love menstrual blood. I painted with it for years, and everybody knows this about me. Well, he hated it. I would be off limits for that week for him. He's one of those kind of people, which is fine, but it's not fine when it's your boyfriend. But I know people whose boyfriends turn into vampires, but not him. So anyway, he wrote that, and it was sort of like a fuck you to me, but that's okay because it's a really creepy song, and you're right. And he kind of made it like, it's like, ew, like, his vagina has teeth, and and I thought, give me a break, bro, but and then we tried to do oh God, this is a story that nobody knows, and I've never shared this before. We tried to do a photo shoot with that idea for that, like making it like a single, even though it was a single back there, because kind of shit. But we got plastic vampire teeth, and I tried to stick them in there in me, and then we were going to take the picture. Yeah, well, I did that, and we did it, and then we realized, well, we probably can't put this out because we weren't sure if you could do it or not. And this is before internet now, so you don't know that you can do shit and just do whatever the hell you want to do. We didn't know we could do it. And it sucks because I don't know what happened to those photos, because I was all for it. I thought this would be so weird. Let's stick it in there and see what happens. And we did it. So yeah. And I don't know what happened to those photos, but it was hilarious. So we're going around getting vampire teeth at the fucking theater, at the ABC theater store, because they have them year round. And anyway, so then here's the thing. Joel's girlfriend at the time, Lori Palmer, I think that was her. She shot it because they didn't want anything to do with it. And that was the other thing. Phil wouldn't shoot it. I was like, I'm your girlfriend. What do you mean you're not going to shoot my fucking? Are you kidding me? No, he would. He's like, no. He's like, it looks too fucking weird. No. And I was like, all right. I thought it looked weird. I had to use a mirror, but yeah, she shot it for us, which was cool because we're over there with Instamatic going. She's like, I should go back and forth. Sitting there. I mean, it was so funny, but it was, we thought it would be really cool. And I was all willing to do it. Like I was willing to go that mile. I thought, well, why not? But then, like I said, I don't know why we didn't use it. I feel like we just thought we probably couldn't get away with it maybe or something. I don't know.
Probably not, but that's just.
I just wish I had those pictures because that'd be hilarious.
If anybody has those pictures, call in. Let me know.
Yeah, exactly. Where'd they go? Because I know we had them. We even had doubles because that's back when you would go to Kodak. You go to the picture store, they give you 2 for the price of 1. We even had doubles.
Yeah.
Because she shot a whole roll. I mean, it wasn't just that like we had one, but we thought it was. I just thought it would be cool because of the vampirism song, and I thought we could use it. And then we did not. You saw what we used for Carry On, and we didn't. And that was what was funny about that too, is because Steve offered to do it, and then Phil wouldn't let him because he's like, no, you're not gonna shoot Lori. But see, he didn't know he was gonna become my boyfriend in like a month later. But that's okay. But but there's your story. Vampire teeth in the crotch. There you go.
Well, just everybody out there listening or that may watch this on a replay. This is the kind of shit you only get on my show right here. That's all.
Yep. And I've never told that story in my life ever. So it's the first time. I just forgot all about it till you talked about. Thank you for bringing that line up, or I would have never thought of that.
Yeah, that line always stuck with me all these years later, 30 years later or whatever. So
yeah, it's a good one.
That's just an example of you guys pushing everything, pushing boundaries and everything.
And that's another punchline one too, because you don't know to the end. And they're like,
Yeah, exactly. And that's what reminded me when you said that. I was like, oh yeah, that sounds like at the end you find out, right?
I love those. I think it's because we were reading a lot of Brian Lumley, and he read a lot of John Shirley, and even H.P. Lovecraft. Sometimes there's things or of course Edgar Allan Poe, where like you got to wait to the end for the aha moment. And I also like that. And I'm a person that really, really loves true crime and thrillers. I love thrillers, and I love suspense, and I love a slow burn where I'm like waiting. Then the other, you're like, oh, the big reveal. So I kind of like the big reveal, and that's kind of what those songs. A lot of the songs, Nuclear Death songs, have like a big reveal at the end.
I have a video I want to show you. It's like a clip. It might be like a minute or two long, but it does involve one of the shows that you played. So let me cue that up real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
It's freaking hilarious to me. Let me find it.
Let's find it. I don't know what you're talking about, or maybe I do and don't remember.
Here we go. Are your volumes up?
Man, my volume's up. There it is. The Michigan Death Fest.
Yep.
You know what? I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
I heard about it though. I heard about it while we were there. People were talking. CNN was there actually when we played that year. CNN came. I don't know why, but they did. No, it was great. People were like out of their minds.
Yeah. Crap. All right, right. So
see, I've never seen that before, but I know I heard about it because people were all tripping, and then I covered myself in the blood at that one and threw out tampons, maxi pads. And I thought that'd be fun. And well, because again, women. I thought I'm a woman. I should be throwing maxi pads and tampons at people. I mean, instead of it being like whatever, you know. I just felt that would freak people out because almost everybody there is a guy anyway. So they'd freak
But
about.
yeah, that was one of the shows. I couldn't find a flyer for that show, but I ran across that. I was like, yeah, I gotta play that.
That is the flyer. I remember that. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Scott said he was there. You threw the top.
Yeah, I did. I did. Yep. I thought it was so funny. I got a bunch of maxi pads. Plus, I had them. You know, I'm a girl. I have to bring them on tour anyway. So I had them available to throw them out, and I had the fake blood. And that's the fucking one where I poured it over my head, and then I couldn't see for like a week after because I screwed up, and we used shampoo as the base instead of because see, we learned at the beginning of the tour when I played in Pennsauken, New Jersey, that using Karo syrup is not fun when you're playing because your hands stick to the bass and your hair sticks to the Karo syrup, and it's more for use in movies because you know my brother and I were gore freaks, and Mark's like we were using Karo syrup blood. So then I got the bright idea that I was using this shampoo called VO5 jojoba, which is the color of caramel. So I said, why don't I just make the blood in this? Put the blue and the blue and the red hair dye in there, and it worked great. You can see the pictures look great, and I did it. But when I got cute when I was on stage, and I went like this, and then my eyes were open, and I remember when I got off stage. I mean, I had to play blind the rest of the time we played. I couldn't see anything. And then when I got off, Dave from Morbid Angel, he came up and he grabbed me and he drugged me over to the water fountain. And he said, you just got that in your eyes, didn't you? And I said, yes, I can't see anything. And we were like trying to rinse it out, the shampoo. But oh my God, it hurt so bad. Anybody that has ever seen me at the Michigan Death Fest, after song, as soon as the blood goes on, I don't see anymore. The whole rest of the show, I was blind. I was in so much pain. But it was a great show. And then Morbid Angel, made sure that we played longer because the promoter tried to kick us off after 20 minutes. And we were like, we just drove how long for 20 fucking minutes? So, yeah.
Was that your first time going out of state?
No, we did Texas.
Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, yeah.
Remember the Axiom.
Right here.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Alive in Texas. That's the first video. We used the footage from those shows there in El Paso and Houston, McAllen, and I think that's where he played. And then we went back out for the Michigan Death Fest and did that. Yeah. And then also played Pennsauken and whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. Here's a good question. Did your mom ever go to any of your shows back then?
Actually, no, but it wasn't by choice. It was just like. It wasn't like the shows what we would play in Arizona were always at like warehouses or parties where it was like late, and my mom and my dad both were not going to be going to a keg party or to a warehouse party to see anything. So no, the only time they heard us was when we would have when we'd have the that's the warehouse party. Where they hear the music. In other words, they'd hear the music that we recorded, or that I'd come and play a tape of the music. Like I played them a lot of rehearsals because I had this really cool JVC boombox, and it had a setting on it where you could record and then click it, and it would compress. It's like, how your iPhone or whatever can compress now and you can have really crystal clear audio. Well, it did that back then. And that's where we got that recording of the Symphony of Agony one. That's how we got such a good recording. Yeah, that's how we got such a good recording because I have to plug my computer in. It's dying. Okay, so anyway. Yeah, and that's how we got it because I just happened to have this and I didn't realize how instrumental it was. But even then I was recording. Even then, like I've been recording myself since I was like in about 4th or 5th grade. My parents bought me a Panasonic tape player that was yellow. It was 1970s yellow and black. And I started recording myself immediately and then singing harmony with myself. So I guess I was always supposed to be a person that records things anyway, but I just didn't know that yet. But with that one, with those shows or whatever, it was just like, I wish they would have came, but it just never happened because it just wasn't that kind of environment that they would be wanting to go to.
Yeah. That's understandable. Here's a shot. I don't know if you've ever seen this one. My buddy Jason Beck took this when you played in Houston.
No, that's awesome. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And I've got my autopsy shirt, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Oh, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but well, you would notice, but do you know that vinyl behind us, that's in my shed right now?
Oh, yeah. You know what? I was going to ask you about that if you still had that banner.
I ended up with it apparently. Yes, I moved with it. I found it
That's awesome.
in our garage. I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "That's the vinyl." Yeah, oh God, Phil and I don't know how long we worked to make it. Was really expensive to get made, I'll tell you that. And this is like back when we first met Joel, he actually paid for the first demo. And he had the only vehicle, and then we drove all the way to El Cajon, California, to put it in record stores, the very first demo. But after that, Joel was also kind of known as a person that never seemed to have a job. So it was always up to me and Phil to kind of pay for things. So yeah, and that thing was expensive. I don't remember, but it was hundreds and hundreds. I know that. It was like, for us, it was like, we just kept having to pick up jobs here and there so we could just make that thing happen. But I'm so glad I have it. And it's in pretty good condition. I mean, well, it's vinyl, but I mean, it's all like twisted up, but it was like, oh my God, I still have that.
Yeah, here's another shot he gave me from that same show.
That's so cool.
That was August 5th, 1990.
Yep. Oh yeah, and it was hot because see when we played oh God, it was just when we drove into Houston, it was the weirdest thing because it smelled like rotten potatoes that day, and we couldn't figure out what it was. And I think it was just the humidity. I wasn't used to because just usually don't have humidity in Arizona, and I think it was just the way it was. Because when me and my brother drove through there again, it had that same scent. I don't know what it is, if it's the farms around or whatever. Or we're going.
It's probably the chemical plant around.
Yeah, that's what my brother thinks it is, because I know when we got into Louisiana, he's like, "Wait till you smell the cat crack." I said, "What's the cat crack?" He's like, "You'll see." And it's like this catalyst something or other, but they have the stacks with the fire coming out of them, and it smells real weird. And I was like, "Oh, okay." It's sort of like, it kind of reminds me of Chicago, the oil refineries and steel mills. But yeah, it has that weird scent. So I was like, But anyway, no, that's a cool shot. Fuck yeah, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I can send them to you whenever.
I love it. I love it. That'd be great. I love it.
Also, where is it at? Oh, here it is.
Because I
had Steve-O on with me, and I showed him this picture.
Yep.
That's
that's the one people always want to. They always send this to me like I've not seen it or something. But it's this thing. That's the sad thing about this picture to me, since I know me there, is that I have spina bifida, but I didn't know I had it. I was actually born with it. I didn't know I had it yet though. But my back was killing me during the show. When we were on the plane, we were on the plane forever to get there, and then we had to take another plane to Puerto Rico, and I didn't realize how my back was bad. I was like, and whatever. And it's weird because Steve and I had just started deciding that we probably were going to end up being together. And then you can see I'm sitting away from Phil. There's a reason. And, and I couldn't even go do the meet and greet. I was in so much pain that Phil actually went and did it, which he doesn't do, by the way. He never liked to do talking to people. He wanted to be the guy that just plays the guitar and does the secret stuff in the background. But he had to go because I couldn't even go. And then Steve stayed with me, which he didn't like, but it was what it was. But yeah, this is like, I was so miserable because I realized that something was wrong. And there would be several. Let's see, if you said that's August, that would be probably a couple months after that where I went to the hospital because I started puking, like I couldn't keep anything up and whatever. Anyway, or down. And I found out that they did an x-ray and found out that I have spina bifida, which is a bone disorder and whatever. But anyway, that's why I get disability now and I have for years. And but that's why I just remember I felt like it was so hard to play that show because it was it rained for 36 hours. It was suffocatingly humid, and I was in so much pain. And then we weren't on our own instruments. That was the other thing. It was hard. I mean, I think we brought our guitar and bass, but we didn't have our amps. And Joel was on somebody else's kit. and it was really hard to do because we had never done that before.
Yeah.
So it was like all of a sudden I was like using somebody's amp that's not the amp I used, didn't sound like my amp and blah, and then hitting in the drum kit and but people loved it anyway, so whatever, and Ipotega were fantastic. They were really cool. And
well, he told me they stunk it up and you guys kicked ass.
No, see, that's to say they did. See, that's what I'm saying. They think they sucked and we think we sucked. So there you go. But we both thought each other were great.
And,
yeah.
It was raining badly that day, correct? Is that right?
Like I said, it rained for 36 hours straight. And it was like, we were at like, I believe it's like it used to be a hockey rink or something. And there were like these weird showers or I don't know, but it was weird. It was like creepy giant spiders, like tropical spiders on the wall. And it was like, oh, and then, and then see, Steve's sort of more of he has that mindset of sort of like when he can tell when things are bullshit. And I remember he didn't like it because we were signing autographs and he's like, man, anybody could sign these because they don't even know who we are. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, that guy, he's like, I just put Dave Mustaine as my name and he just took it. And I said, well, these people don't speak English half the time. They probably don't even read it. So that's probably why they didn't know. But he was this is my little gateway into how Steve thought and why we never played live when we were a duo, because he kind of had that mentality that people just don't care. But I never felt that way. But yeah, it was cool. We went there but it was sort of the beginning of the end. And and then again, it was nice having Mark there because Mark also didn't eat anything, but I think all he would eat were hamburgers or something. And they were trying to give us, the promoter's mom was really nice and she made us chicharrones and tripe with rice. And so Phil's Mexican too. So Phil tried it out of respect. Steve won't eat it because he's vegetarian. I wouldn't eat it. And then Mark wouldn't eat it either. And that kind of gave us some gateway. Like, it's okay. We just don't eat stuff like that. Or we had already eaten actually anyway. And we didn't know they were going to feed us. But I felt bad, but I thought I kind of ate around the rice a little. I felt sorry because he was like, oh, my mom, I made all this. And I thought, oh no, she's sitting there cooking for us. Oh shit. And she did. She opened her house to us. They lived in a really cool place, like a hacienda that had the windows were open, like real hacienda with no screens and all these cool light bugs. And she just let us in her house, all these crazy people, and fed us. And I felt really bad because we had pizza and I was like, oh God. So yeah, but yeah, that's kind of funny. We were like, oh no, it's like, what is this? It's my dad would love it. He would have loved it. He loved stuff like that. Pickled pig's feet and stuffed tripe and menudo and all that shit.
Yeah,
but that's just not me, but yeah, it was just so funny. It was like, oh God, but I'm actually glad Phil ate it because he did eat it. And I was like, okay, good. You eat it. So it looks like somebody ate it.
Do you still happen to have this T-shirt? This is the back of it for that show.
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why I don't, because if you notice, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been putting up like I broke out all my OG Nuclear Death shirts recently, and I'm wearing a different one every day. And except I did wear this one today because I like this is the original one. I just want to wear it again.
Nice.
But anyway, I don't have the one. It's probably one of those ones where it ended up with Phil instead or something like that. Like maybe we didn't get one. Who knows?
I think Steve-O and Mark told me you were pretty much the first like two extreme bands to come into Puerto Rico at that time.
Yeah,
so
they were real excited
awesome.
When they picked us up. Oh my God. When we got picked up by the people that were going to take us to the hotel, they were just like just regular guys, whatever, like fans. They picked us up in a car. Oh, there's no speed limits there. And they picked us up in a car and they had a huge Deicide sticker on the front windshield, dude. And they're driving with it like this. And I was like, what? And it's pouring rain and we're sliding all over. And then where we went, they had like these little kitchenettes and stuff that you could go. It's kind of right off the beach, the Gulf, dude. And it's raining. And they're fucking driving on this little bitty fucking road. And it's just like, it's a cliff. And then we'll go, woo. And we're all, ugh. And it's like, oh my God. And then we get there and they put us, when we went to sleep the next day, I woke up and Phil and Joel were out of their, Joel, I keep saying Joel, Phil and Steve were out of their minds. I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, there's crabs everywhere. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they had given us a broom. And I guess there's like this much of a gap underneath each of the doors in the little motel things we were staying in. And these crabs just come in and they're walking around the fucking floor. And I was like, oh my God, there's crabs all over the floor. So we're all sweeping them out. Because he's like, just sweep them out. And I'm like, just sweep them out? What? But yeah, we did. I didn't want to hurt him, but I was like, what? They didn't get hurt. But I'm just saying, I thought there's all over the floor. There's crabs, like it's everywhere, walking right from the breach, right under the door into the room. And that's a normal thing. And I wondered, because when they gave the broom to either Steve or Phil, they don't speak Spanish. And that's what they said. They said something in Spanish, and it must have been sweep out the crabs. Or something, or there's going to be crabs, but they said you're going to need this. And I thought, what in the fuck do we need a room? What do you think we're going to clean? What?
That's awesome. All right, I just let everybody know that's watching. If you have any questions, I mean, we need to wind this start winding this down.
I got to eat.
I completely lost track of time. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
But I have one last question. When was the last time you saw the guy that played Nuclear Ned for you on stage?
Oh, so Phil, that's Chris Barkley. He's my brother's old best friend, like back in the day best friend.
Okay.
Not since back in the day, honestly. They lost touch when Mark moved to go to film school in Chicago when he was like 18 or 19 years old. So imagine that it's been that long,
Yeah. Actually,
so we're just wrapping it up, Mom.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. No, I'm just telling her so she knows. Can you tell us about recording the demo when you cut yourselves and bleed all over? Well, that's not because you didn't like the technician. No, well, okay. We didn't really do it like that though, but that's kind of like a wives' tale, but not really. But actually, it wasn't the demo. Yeah. It was Vintage Studios, Carry On for Worm, the first recording when we did it at Vintage Studios, and the guy Billy Moss just didn't know what he was doing. I mean, I'm sure he knew what he was doing, but he didn't know what to do with us. And he kept, he would stop it and go, "Oh, my ears are going," and blah blah. And he didn't record it properly in the first place. So we got the bright idea that we were just going to be like, you know what? We're doing Blood, Sweat, and Tears here, so we should give him some of our blood, sweat, and tears. So what we did is we went and we cut ourselves in. Well, we went out because I smoked at the time still. So we went outside and I had a cigarette, and I always carry razor. I always carry a razor with me. So I was like, let's cut ourselves. We'll cut ourselves. We'll just be bleeding all over. And we came in there dripping blood all over Vintage Studios. And, we were like, whatever. And then he had these, this is a terrible thing to do, but whatever. He had these stupid music stands. I mean, they aren't stupid, but they were music stands. And so I think, I'm trying to think of Phil or Joel, which one took a piss on those, made sure it was dripping. But we just pissed all over because he was just pissing us off, and we were sick and tired of it. So that's why we decided to do it that way. We were like, you know what? Yeah. But we just didn't like what he was doing. And the thing about him is he didn't really realize, we kind of didn't let him know that we did it. So he would find blood droplets maybe later. I guess he did. I don't know if he ever mentioned it. And I don't think he ever knew that we peed they peed all over his music stands either. But he was talking about, oh yeah, Stevie Nicks used these and whatever, and we're thinking, well, good, but I don't see how, we found out later he never really recorded her. He was like post-production, something that she was never even in the studio and that kind of stuff. That was his big claim to fame. And that's why I chose him, actually, because I love Stevie, and I thought, well, this guy's going to be great, but it wasn't great. And then, as you know, that place burned down with our masters in there. So those are the only masters I don't own or Carry On for Worm.
Damn. All right, just last question. Did Phil know he was leaving before recording For Our Dead? Would you have used that artwork regardless of him leaving or not?
Well, it's my artwork. Don't forget that. So, no, I was before Phil. First of all, Phil didn't leave. I fired his ass and then I left him. But I was done with them. He's a very abusive person. He was an abusive boyfriend for 6 years, and I was done with them. And I had Steve in my pocket now, and Steve and I had other ideas, and he helped me get that record cover because he told, why don't you let Lori do a cover? And he's like, and he's like, why don't you do that? And see, Steve's 5'10" and Phil's 5'6", and he's like, I just don't understand why you don't let her be her. It's her band. Well, so
Yeah.
Phil backed down, and that's that cover. I mean, that's all my idea from the shoot that my brother did of us as murder victims and me covered in chocolate syrup in my parents' backyard, all the way to the meet maypole since I was born in May, and the whole thing of putting the blood so that we could say it's for our dead. That's all, including the title itself, was my idea. And it was like, you know, I just wanted to have my own chance to do something different. I thought he already kind of screwed up Carry On, and he wasn't that happy about that cover, and neither am I. So it's like, I thought, well, what, you don't want to do it? Let me do it, please. I have art to show. And so, yeah, but even if he did record that with us, as you know, so he did stay for that. But I mean, he knew I was leaving him because I told him, I was like, I can't do this with you. I said, you know, like if you hear like how Ant Farm, that would have never happened if Steve hadn't joined the band, because Phil wouldn't even go past the pedals he uses. And I was like, we need to expand our sound. I'm sick of sounding like the same thing. We've got to do something different. So he gets a flanger. Great. Yeah. Now we can write a song with a flanger. Let's see what we can do. And we did Ant Farm, and you know, and it's a great EP. I love it. And I'm just that EP wouldn't have happened though. That music. The lyrics, yes. Music would not have happened if Steve hadn't joined and expanded the palette with his own like young thinking and allowing me going, no, I agree with you, Lori. I think we need to change up the sound. And I said, well, Phil's won't budge. And he's like, just let him record this. And then he was going to record All Creatures. He was supposed to be on All Creatures. I mean, Phil wrote some of All Creatures. So he was supposed to be on that album, but that's actually when I left him for real. It's like All Creatures, I was done. I was like, okay, we're just can't do this anymore. And it was like, he just didn't want to budge on anything. And I just thought, you know, it needs to be the way it needs to be. They're great songs. And I was like, these could be so much better if you could just take some of my advice and not just keep boxing it in. Because I've told people when I re-recorded, or I shouldn't say re-recorded, when I did the guitars, when I learned the guitars for all those songs, changed a lot of it to better suit the way I play, but also just to make it more interesting. That's why All Creatures sounds the way it does, because All Creatures sounded a little bit too nuclear deathy, and there wasn't that other thing that I wanted to have that I was trying to say with what we were doing with For Our Dead. But For Our Dead is great. It's a fantastic EP. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, awesome. I didn't get into it, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it now. I saw your post about all the reissues coming out, so that's awesome. So if anybody is looking for, I guess, all the stuff you're looking up, like in these boxes, we're finding these boxes might find their way onto these reissues. And,
it's mainly there's a lot of like rare photos, rare stuff that we don't even know what we're going to do yet, but that's what we're doing. I mean, he does, but I mean, as far as what we're going to add and what we're not going to add, there is possibility of rough mixes that are happening of things like the Planet Kashexiel and Harmony. Because see, Steve and I did all these in our studio. I mean, the final product was in a real studio, like a large professional studio. But all of the other stuff, we recorded everything before we ever got there. So we have all these mixes of stuff, and I have all those. Nice. So we'll see what happens. I actually just purchased a cassette to digital converter today because I told Odin, you know, he said, why don't you he wanted me to make copies. I said, I don't have, my tape deck doesn't have a receiver. I have a double tape deck, but I don't have a receiver. I said, let me just do this and I can see what we got. But and that's why we're looking. I'm looking at all this stuff and seeing what I'm going to be giving him that he can use and not use. But yes, he's going to reissue our entire catalog, and he's starting from Harmony Drinks Me First. He's going to be the first person to ever put out Harmony that hasn't been me. Nobody ever wants to put that record out, and he's doing it. And we're doing it first in September.
Awesome. And that's on Southern Lord.
What?
Southern Lord Recordings, right?
Moribund Records.
Moribund.
Yeah, because remember
Moribund. I'm sorry.
He named his company after Nuclear Dust Song.
Yeah, so. Moribund. Yeah, Moribund from Seattle, I think I remember, something like that.
Yeah, Washington.
Yeah, Washington. Yeah. Well, awesome.
Somewhere in Washington. Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I had to get that in there for you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, he's awesome. We just did the contract, and but like I said, I've got really cool things going on right now. It's really a trip what's going on. You can turn the air up, Mom, if you want to. It's not, but anyway, it's a trip. It's It's a big deal, and it's going to finally, I shouldn't say be done right, because Georgios and Ted Tarango, they've done these great, amazing things with like box sets and all that stuff. But the thing is, they were always limited edition. They're special editions. This is a bigger scale. It's also going to be on Spotify finally. So that kind of stuff. And then I have a publicist now, and I get to actually do some press and things that should have always happened and never happened with the way things work.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I want to thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you so much, dude. I love it.
Hopefully you had a good time. I mean,
I
I know I went over a little bit, but
no. I had a blast, man. That's exactly, man.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
And if anybody never got these, you're
It's too bad.
I don't know any bought this, but I bought this one. So
yeah, I love that one. Did you get that one? Did you get that one from Ted or me?
Actually, I got this from my friend. Bought a couple.
Is it signed?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
It's the green vinyl ones though.
Oh, okay, that's cool. I just know if you got it from me, it was signed. That's cool.
No, I got it from a buddy of mine that I think he maybe bought a couple of them, and but this thing is. I mean, I have all the stuff, but it's cool to have. You know?
No, it is. I have two of them, and I'm really excited. I have one black one and one, I think, green. So yeah.
Yeah. So
cool.
Again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
If you can stick around for half a second after I get done here, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So everybody, it's time to.
All right, we'll wrap it up.
Out all that.
What? That's how they do it here on YouTube. Believe me, I can't wait to bring that up and eat them.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.